Tuesday on the AM show. Another beautiful day, day number 4 in this new month of July. Or is it still new? Anyway, from us to you, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us on the AM show. Now, coming up shortly, I'll be serving you the news, and right after that, the news review. We'll be joined by Joyce Lanyo for that review. But then we get into our big stories. And crucial among them, those matters we're going to be discussing with the members of parliament who will be gracing us with their presence in the studio. I'm talking about Ododo MP Nii Lantey Vanderpuye together with Imprieso MP Davis Opoku. We're going to be contemplating such matters as the swearing in of James Jachikwason. We all know he won that by-election by a landslide recently. Today, Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman will swear him in. We'll also be talking about the vetting process of those who aspire to lead the New Patriotic Party into election 2024. That process started yesterday. Today we'll bring you the scoop on that as the likes of Alan Kojo Chamating and others faced off. And then from there, we'll also be contemplating some other crucial matters. We'll be hosting Agromonte on the show this morning. They'll be telling us about what they do, what they stand for, and what we should be looking forward to. That's what our outline looks like on the show today. So just stick and stay. We'll be right back with the news. Welcome back. Thank you for staying. Let's get into the news now, and in our first story. More Burkinabes are trooping into Ghana to seek refuge following attacks on their communities by insurgent groups. Last week, hundreds of them arrived in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region. Now, their presence is raising security, health, and even food security concerns in that part of the Upper East region, where some of them are reconnecting with their kinsmen in Ghana. Correspondent Albert Sori reports.
Sad, dejected, and looking very exhausted. These are people from Tarim Nwaga, a community somewhere in the south of Burkina Faso. They are here in Ghana at the Yarga No. 2 community in Pusiga in the Upper East region, seeking refuge. They say a few weeks ago, their community was attacked by armed men believed to be members of an insurgent militant group. At least 5 people were killed, and the rest of them had to run for their lives. Although it is not clear which armed militant group attacked the community, Osmani Sebgo, one of the refugees, calls them Boko Haram.
We were there at Tarim Nwaga. These Boko Haram people came there and told us that they want us to leave the place. We thought they were joking. For some number of days they came back, and when they came, they succeeded killing about 5 people in our presence, slaughtered them. And when they did that, it now tells us that everybody should run away. So we have to run away. We escaped from Tarim Nwaga in our community, and we went to Sanga. And when we went to Sanga, we got to Sanga and realized that that place too is not safe, because they are coming there threatening the people that they will kill them. So we have nothing to do than to escape to Ghana, where some of our relatives are. So when we came to Yarga No. 2, then we came and met our people, and they gave us a place to stay.
Some of the refugees arrived 2 weeks ago, and others followed later. An estimated 1,500 of them are currently in various parts of the Pusiga district. A lot of them are women and children, even toddlers as young as 8 months old.
As we are here, we didn't come with anything. And we are here, the people are helping us, and we are also helping ourselves small, and that's how we live. Nobody comes here to support us. Our people, even that we left there, we don't even know what is happening there. We want food for our children and ourselves. And look at the small children that are here, no school.
At the Yarga No. 2 community, where many of the refugees first arrived, the Ghanaians here are finding it difficult to give them shelter, let alone food. Here is the chief of the community.
With your small family, at least 10 people in the family, and about 40 or 50 people come to add you. How are you going to feed them? Even you with your 10 people, it gets to some time that you have to buy and add. And now another people have come to join you. How are you going to manage it? So as for the food situation, it's an issue to them.
Some of the refugees have kinsmen resident here at Yarga No. 2 and other parts of Pusiga. So it is more like tracing their roots back home. Therefore, the Ghanaians feel they must find a way to accommodate them. One of the men providing shelter for these refugees is Issa Zakari, who says he accommodates 12 of them in this small room.
It's our people, and they migrated and they came. And because of that, this house, for instance, is meant that as you move from this house to my new house and then leave this one for the refugees to also settle. This room has been accommodated 12 people. And this other room too is accommodating 11 people there. And then this other room too is also accommodating about 14 people there. They normally sleep here. After sleeping, then they will go outside and struggle and see whether they also get food, their daily bread, and support themselves. Because we, the landlords, we cannot support them 100% because for now our food self is not sufficient for my family members.
This old woman is one of the refugees being sheltered in Zachari's home.
It's our auntie. She's too old. She's about 120 years. When it happens to the children, have no any place to go with her, so they have to move with her and also come to the family house. So we have nothing to do than to also collect her and accommodate her.
The community members of Yarga No. 2 are worried that the influx of these refugees could have serious health implications because this dilapidated building here is what serves as a CHIPS center. There are no health officials stationed here. At the time of our visit, there was no known record of a health screening exercise for the refugees. In other places such as Pulmakum, Zong Natinga, and Wedana, all in the Pusiga district, hundreds of refugees could be seen. The Ghanaians in these parts are mainly peasant farmers, some of whom have had to give out their lands to those of the refugees who are their relatives.
Now, it is a 76-kilometer road successive governments have promised to fix, yet none of them have lived up to expectation. That stretch is in a deplorable condition, replete with potholes and gullies. In today's edition of Ghana's Potholes exhibition, Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam tells the story of the Han Tumu Road.
The Wahan Tumu Road project for over 30 years has been on the budget of every government that has ruled this country. All governments in the Fourth Republic have cut short for at least a portion of the road to be constructed. The irony, however, is that none has been able to complete the 142 kilometers road. Joseph Canton started using the road at a tender age some 70 years ago, attended Laura Middle Boarding.
I attended Laura Middle Boarding. That was from 1961 to 65, and I used the road a lot. If anybody told me that as of today, this road is going to be in this deplorable state, I will say it's a mirage. Because Kasajan was one of the best person, one of the first contractors who worked on this road. And what happened? You know, since then, they have been scrapping the road. And I think that thing even contributed to the nature, the way this road is now.
This was the very road that my father used some 60 years ago to go and dowry my mother at Wallambele. 60 years on, the road is even in a much deplorable state. The question that the people are asking, when will this road project be completed? Construction of the road project began 2 decades ago at the one end of the road by Usua Ghana Limited and later awarded on piecemeal to Lebanese-based Ghanaian contractor P&W Ghanem Limited. At least the latter has graded, re-gravelled, fixed broken culverts and tarred over 50 kilometers of the road with bitumen. 76 kilometers of the road project is now left to be fixed and is now an albatross hanging on the neck of the government. It is bumpy, deplorable, and replete with corrugation. The west part of the road is located between Hen and Ndowala and is filled with numerous manholes and gullies. You can see that the videos are shaky. That clearly means that the road is just not good. We are moving from one pothole to the other, meandering through some of them, the ones that we could dodge. And that's exactly what is happening. And that's why the videos are really shaking. We're uncomfortable, even sitting at the back of the pickup. You can see that the vehicles are coming and they are now avoiding the road and they are now using the shoulders of the road to come into the main road because the road is such in a deplorable state. And so even vehicles as Land Cruisers, Prados and whatever cannot even ply that route. How much do you talk about rickety vehicles? I can count as many as 13 gullies right here on this road. So let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on this stretch of the road, which is about 20 meters right here on this road. Passengers and also drivers are not having it easy to ply the route, and they are appealing to the government to come to the aid of the people.
Myself, you have to go and change your absorber very often because the road, the nature of the road is very difficult. Well, I'm using a pickup, but it is still very tough on the car. So we are appealing to the government that whatsoever they have to do to make sure that these roads are done, because this area, Sisala East and West, is a good hub for cereals, soya, maize, and millet. And we have to transport the item to the city centers to help cushion prices. And because of that, prices are escalating.
You see how, the colonial government was looking at this. And usually, they used to, the postcards used to be on this road. And they will make sure that the mills will get back to all the places. Why is it that today, even if our postal system is even failing, but at least this road should have been in a better order than now.
Now, the Minister of Education says Ghana is setting a standard for the phase of STEM education globally. Speaking at the launch of STEM Novation Competition 2023, Minister of Education Dr. Yao Osei Educhum revealed his ministry was committed to ensuring that STEM education was implemented duly in all schools across the country. Here's Jacqueline Ansumayabwe's report.
Government introduced the STEM Novation Competition in 2022 as a means of fostering the creative potential of senior high school students and those enrolled in technical, vocational and education training. At the launch of the 2023 edition of the competition, Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Educhum said Ghana is setting a standard for the phase of the STEM education globally with regards to infrastructure and innovations.
It's not the case. Ghana has done something that has attracted the attention of the world. Everywhere you go, they say, Ghana, we want to come and see. We want to come and see your STEM innovation that you are bringing into your country. People visit my office, they see the projects we've done, and they say, is this really Ghana? And I said, I believe in evidence-based communication. From kindergarten, all the way through primary schools, innovation is happening. We are changing the face of public education once and for all. by the facilities that have been provided and even the way they dress. See the children dress up starting from primary 6 all the way to high school, and you begin to see that this country is on the transformation track. Next academic year, when you go to a town like Jaba in the Ashanti region, you see that 10 of their old junior high schools are going to be closed forever. Maybe one day pulled down, demolished, so that I can move all the schools to a new learning environment, the new 21st century junior high school environment. Then you will know that change has come to Ghana and change has come to stay.
He also revealed that the existing schools are being retooled and renovated to suit the current STEM requirement.
Across this country, there is a move towards changing the way we teach and learn in existing schools, and also ensuring that new schools are built. So new junior high schools that are STEM focused are under construction. We also have fund resources to actually rehabilitate existing schools and sometimes demolish and build new ones. I know the media sometimes give us a lead, and we take advantage of it. A number of schools that we are going to be building within the next 2 months will be schools that were told about by the media, and we are rebuilding them. We are building new facilities for them. So on a whole, I think Ghana is making every effort not to lose out on the fourth industrial revolution. The first industrial revolution was the steam engine. The second was electricity. The third was about computers. Now the fourth is about the merger of electronics and physical. So that is why you're able to open your house using your eyes. So things are shifting. The artificial intelligence is bringing about different innovation. If we lose out, we will not be able to catch up with the rest of the world, then we can't afford to lose out.
STEM policy advisor Professor Mark Adom Asamoah revealed that Ghana is currently at 12% of STEM initiatives, with stakeholders working to ensure the country reaches the required 60%.
So there is a science and technology innovation policy, which says that 60% of all our products at the tertiary level should be science and the other 40 should be humanities. Since 2011, the national percentage has been at 12%. It went to 13% in 2016, and then it came back down to 12.1% currently. What we have to do is to increase what we call the STEM pipeline, what goes through from one end to the other. With regards to the STEM pipeline, we need to look at the whole education spectrum. We need to look at from kindergarten, we need to look at primary, junior high school, and senior high school. In terms of the STEM areas, we have created special pathways. These pathways are taking the students to be able to work in robotics, in engineering science, in manufacturing, in biomedical science, and the rest. And we are hoping that with this introduction, and also by trying to encourage those in the senior high schools, we will be able to increase the numbers.
Urban gardening, efficient use of electricity, and clean water are the three themes for the STEM Innovation Competition in 2023. And these will address issues in Ghana and beyond. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
Let's head now to the Tano North municipality, where the Director of Education, Nana Ekokwansa, says government alone cannot meet the needs of the educational sector without input from individuals and organizations. His remarks follow a donation of more than 1,000 textbooks from a philanthropist to improve learning in the municipality. Precious Semevo has more.
Tano North Municipal Education Directorate in the Ahafo region. The government has supplied most of the new textbooks needed for basic level students, but the deficit, according to Gordon Badi Bangna, a teacher, businessman, and an NDC loyalist, needs to be provided for classes 1 to 6, especially for schools without textbooks. In his attempt to complement the government's effort towards the education of children in the municipality, Mr. Badi Bangna has donated approved textbooks worth over 47,000 cedis to the Education Directorate through the Tano North National Democratic Congress office.
As a professional teacher, I have identified the deficit in the provision of textbooks within the municipal, and by way of my contribution, I decided to provide textbooks not to the higher level, but at the foundation level to complement what government is providing, especially to schools that don't have at all. And that is why we are going down to the very foundation, basic level. We are talking about 1,020 copies, costing 47,400 Ghana cedis.
Mr. Bade Bangna expects teachers in the beneficiary schools to make good use of the books to benefit the students.
As the Education Directorate have taken it and to also distribute it, I'm appealing to colleague teachers to use the books judiciously, to use the books as expected. They should understand that it hasn't been easy coming by this, and so whosoever that have the opportunity to hold this book, let us use it with the commitment that it deserves, so that our children can derive the full benefit, the reason for which this gesture was done.
Tano North Municipal Education Director Nana Eko Kwanza, after receiving the textbooks, appreciated the gesture and noted that their maintenance will be his priority. He, however, appealed to stakeholders to support the government to ensure quality education for future leaders.
Government has provided almost all the textbooks on all the subjects. It's left with one or two, which we are waiting. So I'm very happy that we have taken delivery of the textbook this morning to promote effective teaching and learning, which will eventually translate to learning outcomes in our schools. Government is doing its bit, and other individuals have also seen the need to complement the effort of government. And as I keep on saying, financing education in Ghana is like a baobab tree. No one person's hand can encompass it unless individuals. So at this point in time, I'm appealing to the other individuals, other philanthropists, other organizations to emulate the gesture that Mr. Gordon has done.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Duan Kwanta.
Let's talk health. Now, turkey berries are said to contain many valuable nutrients, hence their use in traditional medicine. But many people are still uncertain about the cooking duration ideal for retaining the maximum amount of nutrients. Well, researchers at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have some answers in this report.
Berry, or the devil's fig, locally known as kwansusua, is used in many cuisines worldwide. In Ghana, light soup and cocoyam leaf stew are never complete without it. Turkey berry is replete with a number of minerals and vitamins. However, since it's mostly consumed cooked, many have had concerns about the cooking duration, essential for retaining its nutritional prowess. We'll be engaging a graduate student from the Department of Food Science and Technology, Jemima Uhusu-Asante, who has been looking at the effect of boiling on turkey berry. She has also been looking at the nutrients in the fruits vis-a-vis the leaves.
I decided to do this because kwansusua, it is known that kwansusua is very nutritious, but I wanted to do a scientific research to prove a lot of things. One, to see the effect of boiling on the nutrients of the two plants. You know, people usually boil it for about 20 minutes, then they use it for soup and boil it for a very long time, maybe 2 to 3 hours. And when you do that, most of the nutrients too will be lost. So we did it for just 10 minutes to see if still the nutrients will be available. For the fruits, we saw that boiling had an effect on the Solanum torvum boiled leaves. We saw that boiling reduced the moisture. So if you want it to last long on the shelf, what you can do is to boil it for about 10 minutes, and then you repackage it and put it in the fridge, and it can be there for a very long time. Looking at the mineral composition too, we saw that it contains iron, especially the leaves contain very high iron. People with anemia can also take the leaves together with the berries to improve their iron levels.
Bulletins. But that's it for the news on the AM show. Stay with us. The news review is up next. Welcome on the news reveal belt of the show. We'll be digging into the papers, but this morning I just want to throw this invitation to you. I don't think we do this enough. So apart from sharing your thoughts via the live stream on some of the matters we're going to be discussing, if you know someone who is celebrating a special day today, a birthday, among others, just shoot it to me via the live stream and I'll be sure to celebrate. Yes, we get requests coming in, but usually not from you. So you share that and we'll celebrate those people live on the AM show. Thank you for staying. This segment is brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I don't need to over-elaborate. I've been saying it every morning. If you're a man, check your prostate, especially after the age of 30. If you're a woman, do you know your fertility status? Which is why Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, being gracious as they are saying, come, free, gratis. You can get these kinds of screening for your prostate in terms of your fertility-related issues if you're a woman, and they will get you sorted out. You can locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Kronoma Way here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaje Estate if you find yourself in that part of town. If you're still in the Greater Accra region, Tema. You can locate them in Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Siama and Zima. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, shortly, we'll be joined by Madam Joyce Lanyo. Let me just cross-check whether we have Madam Joyce Lanyo on the line. Good morning, Joyce. Hello. All right, so we'll connect with Joyce Lanyo shortly. She is Country Director, International Child Development Program. If you can hear me, Joyce, please unmute so we can hear what you're saying.
I'm on mute.
Okay, all right. Good morning to you. It's been a while. I hope you've been well.
Yes, good morning. I'm excited to be back to do the newspaper review, and thank you for the opportunity.
We're glad to have you always. Country Director, International Child Development Program. Let me just find out from you before we get into the papers. Are there any matters of concern that have caught your attention within the last few weeks, since we've not spoken in a while, that you would like to get into briefly before we get into the papers?
Yeah, the most urgent one of which I have been part of the advocacy is the taxes on the pads.
Sanitary pads.
That's, the sanitary pads that we are advocating for. I was amazed when the sanitary pads were categorized as luxury goods. And it's unbelievable to put sanitary pads there because it's something that is with women almost every day, everywhere. So I don't see the luxury around it.
They attract taxes of about 35%. But the other angle to the conversation is, for example, the AGI, the Association of Ghana Industries. They say, look, if you reduce the taxes on these, most of them are imported. You know, if you reduce the taxes on them, the businesses, the few businesses in Ghana that produce these toiletries and sanitary ware will have to fold up. They will be out of business. I didn't necessarily agree with them because there are ways of protecting while still ensuring that things are less costly. So for me, it's middle ground. But what is your take on that? What is your reaction to the AGI?
Yeah, I was also surprised that AGI should come up with that argument that the taxes were to be maintained. Otherwise, they were going to lose their jobs and all that. And I'm like, we are talking about human lives, humans' education, women's health in all aspects. And then people are looking at the sustainability of their jobs, the profitability that they are going to make, and then the collapse of their businesses. We are in this country, and chicken and rice and all those other stuffs are being imported into this country. Whereas we have local rice. People yet still do not patronize and would probably prefer the imported one. And with the sanitary pads, what about our colleagues in the rural areas? What do they do? Now the awareness is there. People are used to the sanitary pads and the tax on it. Even if you are being given from externally as a gift, you have to pay tax. I have tried, and the tax component, I told my collaborators
about 35%.
Keep it over there. Yes. So the AGI argument on this particular matter really is, even though it's about survival and all this, I think they should have come in a better direction rather than to say that their business were going to collapse and so the taxes should be maintained.
But just to be fair to them as well, in contemplating this issue, while I do not necessarily agree with them, I feel that government can still reduce taxes and ensure that they stay afloat, that they can do business. You can't also run away from the fact that these associations, these companies also provide jobs. You're talking about their businesses and all of that, but those businesses are also employing ordinary Ghanaians. Some people are getting their daily bread from those businesses. So it's a situation that we must look at from different angles. I've always been an advocate for the sanitary pads, that the taxes make no sense. But at the same time, you cannot completely reject what the AGI is saying, can you?
Well, so it cannot be a win-win situation like you propose. There should be some level of negotiations where their businesses will be kept afloat. And then at the same time, the call for the reduction of these taxes are looked at. So the experts and the economics and all those people should come together to find a way that our call, because this call wouldn't go away. We just simply cannot afford these pads.
Right.
Our young girls cannot afford it. And it brings a lot of issues, school dropouts and all those challenges, women, girls staying away in times of their periods, and it's affecting the educational outcomes as well. So we are still saying that this conversation wouldn't go. So government should use his machinery to look out for ways to reduce these parts and yet keep our AGI colleagues who are also taking care of a critical component of the economy in terms of jobs. These are all looked at so that we all arrive at a consensus. Otherwise, this conversation cannot just be left in the back burner. It will continue to be something that we will be talking about all the time. Yeah.
I'll just say this to cap off that conversation on that bit. One thing about governments in Ghana, well, everywhere, but especially here in Ghana, is that once they have a tax component, no matter what the backlash is, once it rakes in money for that administration, it is extremely difficult for them to scrap those taxes. I mean, the rhetoric when now Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was in opposition before he became Vice President, and all of that was taxation to production. So they came in, they took some of what they called nuisance taxes out, fed others in through the back door, and now we are where we are. Governments have been unable, our governments have been unable to actually move from taxation to production. There's no real production, and that is why our economy is so susceptible to the shocks, any shocks that may come our way. So we tax, and it's a small bracket that you're taxing. So you tax them into the ground, apart from indirect taxes that hit everybody, even when you purchase credits. The main taxes hit you, me, and a few other people very hard, because everywhere you go, there are taxes. So that is part of the problem. Our leaders are not thinking outside of the box. I'm sorry to say it. Administration in, administration out. They're not thinking outside of the box. It's just about tax, tax, tax. And when you talk about this, people say, look at the UK, look at the US. Oh, you also look at what they are giving their citizens. If you want to look at the tax component, look at what they are delivering. If you're in those jurisdictions and there's a fire or something, within minutes, you'll get assistance from the fire service. Something as simple as a pet getting caught in a tree will attract the fire service or something. Here, your property might get burnt to ashes. So those are, and I'm not trying to demean the fire service. They do the best they can with the resources they have. But I'm just trying to point out that we are tax-happy people. tax-happy leadership without thinking. It's always about taxing, taxing, taxing. And this is some of what you get, taxing even sanitary products. Just to cap off, Joyce, it would interest you to know that Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, I think Tanzania, among other countries, have scrapped these taxes on sanitary products. I'm talking about sanitary pads and others. They scrapped them for a long time now. We are still in the doldrums of that because, again, our leadership is tax happy. They don't want to innovate. It's always about the low-hanging fruits, the easiest way of making cheap money, and that doesn't help anyway. But let's get into the papers. You said it all, Ben.
You said it all, and I totally agree with you.
So the Daily Graphic this morning, Joyce, 11.5 million euro Adaklu Waya water facility commissioned. Then there's Opuni trial won't start afresh, Court of Appeal rules. Integrate business value to drive society, Professor Duncan says so. And then OSP investigates over 150 cases. Charles Bissu, Edubuahen probes completed. Then there's also GCB posts strong performance, DDEP hits hard. On the back page of that paper, choked canals hinder vegetable production at Waja. And then Customs Division destroys goods imported without permits. Now let's get into the major stories. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has concluded investigations into allegations of corruption against a former Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahen, and 3 other high-profile suspected corruption cases. These are, besides 9 other cases the OSP is investigating, while more than 150 cases are at various levels of consideration. In its half-yearly report dated June the 30th this year, the 3 other investigative cases concluded by the OSP included an allegation of an attempt by a wealthy businessman. I'm very interested in this one. By a wealthy businessman to bribe some members of parliament on the majority side who called for the resignation of the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, to rescind their decision. That matter, we've still not got to the bottom of it. And some of these MPs, members of parliament, know. When the members of parliament come into the studio today for the big stories, I'll question them. What has happened to this matter? The leadership of parliament spoke about it. You can't speak about something you don't know about. What happened? There's also, the OSP indicated that with the conclusion of investigations into the 4 cases, the special prosecutor would soon announce its next line of action, adding, quote, the special prosecutor will issue directives and further action on the matter in due course. There are other concluded cases that are also spoken of. But any reactions to this story?
Yeah, you are talking about issues around corruption, bribery, and all that. And all these practices do not support national development. People who are given resources or who are entrusted with us resources to embark on a certain agenda in the interest of the Ghanaian people should be rather accountable and be transparent in everything that they do.
Right.
So when red flags are raised, when whistles are blown to indicate that there is a certain level of corruption or there is lack of transparency in a certain activity, it behoves on those in charge, especially the special prosecutor, to go into the matter and then prosecute it in such a way that there will be value for the prosecution that the people are looking for. And if there is the case where the person is exonerated or left off all those allegations, then well and good for Ghanaian people. Right. But there's always the issue of underhands in cases of corruption. People are being threatened. People are giving false witnesses. Then in that case, our national development will be thwarted in a lot of ways. And people will continue to engage in these issues around bribery and corruption. So I think the special prosecutor has a yeoman's job to come into terms with all these allegations and serve justice to the Ghanaian people. Otherwise, these are things that are going, and people in charge of the purse are always doing things in their own way, lack of transparency. Cases come up, we hear of it, and then it goes down, and that will be the end of the story. You ask, and nobody is able to So I think it behoves on the special prosecutor at this time to come out clear in the cases of the bribery, and those who are found guilty are also brought to book.
All right.
My take on this is becoming too much, and this will not support our national development, I'm afraid.
Of course not. If you're losing between $4 and $6 billion every year to corruption, and you're going to the IMF for $3 billion, cuckoo. Just have to think through. Page 39 of the paper, GCB posts strong performance, DDEP hits hard. And so GCB Bank PLC recorded a strong overall performance in 2022, including growing its total operating income by 24%. However, the introduction of the domestic debt exchange program occasioned a net loss. Now, the listed bank's financial performance for last year was underpinned by 24% growth in its operating revenue from 2.4 billion Ghana cedis to 3 billion Ghana cedis. Again, in terms of assets, the bank with the largest network also grew total assets from 18.4 billion in 2021 to 21.5 billion last year. But just quickly on this one, suspend mobile money charges, NCR to the Bank of Ghana. Now, the Network of Communication Reporters has called on the Bank of Ghana to ensure that MTN Mobile Money Limited permanently suspends the planned increases in mobile money charges. The mobile money lenders had indicated that beginning the 1st of July 2023, mobile money cash out transactions of up to 2,000 Ghana cedis would attract a 1% fee. Again, from 2,000 Ghana cedis upward, the fee remained fixed at 20 Ghana cedis. I'm sure some of you got messages and to that effect, but now there is the call to scrap that altogether. Do you have any quick thoughts on that before we move to other papers, Joyce?
Yeah. I think these mobile money transactions initially received a lot of hue and cry in terms of whatever we were supposed to pay during every transfer. And so the mobile money networks are making huge sums of money and at the, impoverishment of we, the people who are sending the money. These days is the fastest way of sending money to anybody on the other side. And look, even 1 cedi is a lot to Ghanaians. And so they've made enough, they've made a lot of money, and their corporate social responsibility should also increase.
Right.
It's increasing, and we've seen some of their activities. But look, we are talking about desk in Ghana, desk in schools. Majority of the schools do not have desks. Schools are still under trees. Teacher infrastructure to support effective teaching and learning are challenges. So we want to see some of these benefits from the mobile money networks to support these initiatives that we are always crying. And government, we've seen that government alone cannot do it. So if they are charging, then the money should also be seen in terms of certain key issues that we are talking about. Education. Lately, we made a press conference about some of the issues that the basic education sector is suffering because the government has cut the funding to that sector. So some of these organizations can come in to support the development agenda, providing some of these things that we are talking about, children that are lying on the floor and sleeping on blocks to write and all those things. Some of these resources can go in to support glaringly for us to appreciate that, of course, the tax that I'm paying is also going in to support my child somewhere in the rural community, my child who is sleeping on the floor to write, no desk to sit on, so that we all appreciate that government is also receiving the support, because it's clear that government cannot do this alone. So some of these taxes should go into the areas that we are talking about, and we can applaud them for all they are doing. But if I'm paying and it's going into some small water system in a community, the larger community having challenges, then I think a lot of us will have to, cry over these taxes. But, well, taxes are good. They help to develop the nation. But we are pleading that some of these resources could be channeled to support government initiatives. My take. Yeah.
Aaron Babako Kokomisa on via the live stream says, good morning to you. The system is so porous in such a way that even if there were a gunshot on the blind side of the security agencies, they would lack security intelligence to dictate who did that. My point is that the core duty of the security agencies is to protect life and property. That is what we want to see and nothing else. Okay, thanks for sharing that message. I'm going to look at a number of stories from different newspapers, Joyce, and then we can get into them. When you look at the graphic business this morning, $809 million bond swap. Engage, build investor confidence. That's according to experts. There's also WAPCO cuts supply over $13 million mounting debt. Now, the West African Gas Pipeline Company Limited has suspended natural gas transportation services to the Ghana National Petroleum Authority. Deep-throated sources have confirmed to the graphic business. This follows the inability of the National Petroleum Authority to settle its indebtedness to WAPCO to the tune of over $13.99 million. The decision, which took effect from July the 1st, comes after a series of negotiations between the two entities over debt arrears, although the GNPC paid $1.246 million to WAPCO last week. So that would leave over what? $12 million to be paid. Then there's also this one. Capital market experts have asked the government to be transparent as it engages investors to restructure dollar-denominated bonds totaling about $809 million. The experts also urged the government to extensively engage these investors before officially announcing any debt restructuring offer. Of course, this would be on the back of the first DDEP and the many problems, the manifold problems that accompanied them, the proposals, the back and forth, the pushing and shoving, and finally, how ugly the entire DDEP went from what could have been a very friendly exercise. So there are those two, and then let me add these ones. Ketasco NSMQ star dies. That's the Daily Guide newspaper now. And the late James Lutrot. He was in the 2021 Ketasco team for the first time out of the Volta region. That team made it to the finals of the National Science and Math Quiz. He was together with his team making waves, and he is suspected to have suffered a case of food poisoning and passed on. In fact, he had an interaction with Joy FM. But I also want to highlight this story. Alan Bawumia grilled on presidential bids. And 3 of the 10 aspirants vying to lead the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 general election successfully went through the party's vetting process yesterday, answering a series of questions. Former Trade and Industry Minister Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, energy specialist, or analyst, I should say, Kojo Poku, and Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia all took turns at the vetting, which is conducted at the MPP's Greater Accra Regional Headquarters at Kokomlimli. Today, Bwache Kyerematen Ejako, Kwabena Ejaya Japong, and Kennedy Ohene Japong will take the seat at the vetting committee. Any reactions to these stories, Joyce?
Yeah, I would like to express my sincere condolence to the family of Master Lutrot.
Yeah.
For this loss. In fact, people of this high intellectual IQs are very, very difficult to come by. And these are guys who come up to become nation developers, big time people who support in all areas of development. And so for him to suffer this food poisoning issue, I don't have the full story. I can only express my condolence to the family.
He was actually,
Ghanaians.
From what I gather, he had got some scholarship or something. He was due to travel, for further studies. And unfortunately, this happens. But I just had to bring this in. Food poisoning. Was it last year? I suffered a terrible case of food poisoning. And I just want to send a message to all of us out there. Be careful where you eat, what you eat, and all of that. Because if this turns out to be true, how sad would it be that on the back of, something like food poisoning, we've lost a gem? Just saying.
Yes. So it's rather unfortunate, and condolences to all Ghanaians and to the family. And whatever it is that caused the food poison, I believe they will have to look into it. And where the poisoning came from, they will have to take it up to make sure that everybody is satisfied with the investigations and the matter is put at rest. But it's rather unfortunate, and our condolences to the family and Ghanaian as a whole, because we've lost a very important personality who was going to come up as one of the key, developers of this country. And so coming back to the debt exchange program, it has not been easy. it's sad that because we were not able to manage our resources, government was not able to take care of the economy, we got to this point. And people who had earned their monies through various means, believing in the system, trusting that their investment will go to their benefits at the time they needed it, will have to go through this. And the ministry, the finance ministry, keeps on, giving promises that they are not able to meet. Please, for once, let's trust the system so that when you say something, you go by it. These are senior citizens that have paid their dues, and their investments are meant for various purposes. And most importantly, majority are for medicals. And now Ben, medicines have quadrupled in prices. Services at hospitals are not anything that any ordinary Ghanaian can afford. And out of these, one of these, they are picketing. One of them said he was waiting for the time to start his, I've forgotten, but to go to Kolebu and do this dialysis, that's the word. And that his health is at risk. So this whole designated program has come with serious challenges. And this will go to all our people in charge of public persons that, look, when we say the GDP rate against the borrowing is quadrupling or is going too high, and very soon we'll reach the target of unsustainable debts, it's a serious issue that government will have to consider. That they don't bring us to a point where we are giving a meager amount of IMF, yet we'll have to go through a very serious process to get this money. I'm not sure this money will come out of a million situations to help. So we want to plead that some of these debt exchange programs should be looked at critically so that people who have had trust in the government and have invested their monies will be taken care of at a time that they will need their funds. Rather than going through picketing, nobody is talking to them in the sun, singing. Oh my God.
It's quite a situation. Madam Lanyo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I appreciate what you're saying because I have to buy medicine every month. And I know what the costs have been like, how they have spiraled. We're grateful that you took the time to join us this morning, and we wish you the very best.
It's my pleasure. And you are always welcome, Ben. Thank you.
All right. The final story here that I will just take a brief look at. We'll bring you details of that later in our subsequent bulletins. Nkrumah Park, now world-class standard. President Akufo-Addo to commission it today. We'll be bringing you details of that. But we're just joined by Country Director, International Child Development Program, Joyce Lanyo. Right before we get into sports, you do know that this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Just head to any of their branches, across Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Krono Mabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa, and Asiema Nzima. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. Just the start, though, of sports up next.
Thank you for staying with us on AM Show, that newspaper review with Ben as well. He'll be back right after the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith, and today we have news on teams that have confirmed that they will play in Africa from the Ghana Premier League. Also, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia has met Kudus Mohammed has met the Vice President as winner of the Ghana Football Awards, and some more as well. But first, there's still reaction coming on the heels of this weekend's heated interviews on Joy News and Joy FM. We told you that Derek Boateng and Ajiman Bedu have been trending nationwide for their criticism of the Ghana Football Association and its processes. This is following the Black Meteors' lack of advancements in the Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations. Asamajan has been speaking to sister station that is Asempa FM, and this is what he said. He basically had a few pointers about why he thinks the Under-23 team did not do well in Morocco. Let's hear him. It's in Chi.
Tweet now, me tweet here. And say, Ubia, the better me train. When them catch out the first 2 games, no man share. So although me share highlights, me share a couple of Nyama, because even if you share your game against Morocco now, a team to be breaking away, Morocco team, or no our Bogu now, that's on their favorite. Our Bogu in front of France, you know. I'm to be breaking away now. Attack to play defenders, stop with defenders. Now others, no, and literally like they are jogging and they feel there. I don't know. They have any sense of urgency and I said, what I say. Indeed, when I'm beginning to say, oh, okay, it's a share game. I say, nah, right? What's really particularly football players in a man of pass moving to space. Who's the ball now? And American, who's the ball now? Who the clinical? You face the ball like no get compact. Now you make it sure that you defend it. But you can see players on your ball now, even for how to pass the ball through, I have very difficult. Like you need 2-3 passes together. Okay. And I say, we are not aggressive enough to win the ball back. How do you expect to win a game like this? To be winning games.
Eyasemo.
You see, we have the players. Players need their work, but how to approach the game? That mentality now was a game.
And then you're lucky, you know. But in your tweet, you know, you said that some players think they are bigger than the team. Some players being sounding as a who are bigger.
But some players, it's obvious. You think I share a ball. I don't have any personal issue with anybody. Yeah. When I see things, even there are some players that me pursue without even knowing anywhere, I just defend them. I do talk for them. I'm in a movie. Okay.
So Samajan's point just being that the team showed a lack of urgency right from the Morocco game. He also mentioned that some players, he felt the body language showed that they probably felt they were bigger than the team, to which the host, Maestro, asked him to name names. He said he won't, but I mean, if you took a closer look at the team, you could tell those who felt that they were bigger than the team, and he felt that generally the team could do better as well. He was speaking to Asempa FM on the Ultimate Sports Morning Show. You can get that on Asempa 94.7 FM from 6 to 10 a.m. every morning on that frequency. And still on that matter, on our sister station, so this Asamajan spoke on Asempa FM. Now let's go to Kumasi, where on Inshira FM, our sister station, reaction from the head of the Black Meteor Management Committee to what Ajiman Bedu said on Joy FM. Now, Achi says that Ajiman Bedu was still receiving national team call-ups when he left the local scene to play abroad. He wasn't denied that opportunity in favor of local players. Now, remember that Ajiman Bedu had complained that Ghana is seemingly having a problem, or as it were, a focus on players born abroad or Ghanaian players who are based abroad to the detriment of locally based players. And in response, Frederica Champong is saying that Ajiman Bedu himself basically should not be speaking because when he went abroad, he was still getting national team call-ups. But I think the point is missed because Ajiman Bedu was not talking about the Black Stars. He was speaking about youth national teams. And if you know your history, Ajiman Bedu was a locally based player when he was selected to play for the Chan team and the team that went to play at the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. So, I mean, maybe Frederica Chi might want to examine his notes again. Ajimabedu was speaking about the national youth teams, not the Black Stars. So the conversation on that continues. We'd love to know, hit us on the socials on what you think went wrong with the under-23s and whether it's a microcosm of the larger problem we face in our football. Moving on to club stuff, and breaking news from yesterday evening said from Kumasi that Asante Kotoko have taken drastic action following a disappointing season. After they failed to win any trophy in their last campaign, what have they done? They have dissolved the board and management. The board, of course, was led by Dr. Kwame Che, and that was established in 2020. And that board appointed Nanaya Amponsa as the head of the management team in August of that year. So the collaboration between the two entities initially yielded success with the winning of the Ghana Premier League title in their second season. Now, the trophyless campaign and the lack of harmony within the club's leadership afterward are said to have led to the decision by the club owner, that's Asante Hene, to force to the second to dissolve the board and the management team. So that's the news we are getting from Kumasi. To ascertain all this and see how true and what the state is, my colleague at Inshira FM, Fifi Manfred, gave us the story.
So, reports have it that as it stands now, Mensha has decided not to extend the mandate of Dr. Kwame Che's board. So as it stands now, means that the board has been dissolved. The board led by Dr. Kwame Che has been dissolved after that 3-year mandate. We can confirm that the board isn't going to be together to lead the day-to-day activity of Asante Kotoko next season. And that also means that the management of Asante Kotoko, led by Nanaya Amponsa, also likely is going to be at post come next season. So what that means is that now there isn't a board, there isn't a management, and now the Mensha would look to appoint somebody else to lead a board, and then they will in turn bring in management to run the day-to-day affairs of Asante Kotoko. I mean, you should also know that on the 30th of June, there was a letter that was sent to the playing body to let them understand that they should all proceed on holidays and nobody should tamper with any of their belongings at the club's apartment. Whilst they went away, the club was going to take inventory, and this is a process that started a couple of weeks ago for management and then the board to hand over everything back onto Mensha. So this was coming, and there you have it. Dr. Kwame Che, no more as board chairman of Kotoko. Nanaya Amponsa, no more as CEO of Kotoko. We wait to see who really takes over the reins of Kotoko. But the early names that have come in, first one is Dr. Kweku Otin, CEO of the Angel Group of Companies, as his name has come as the earliest names, and we wait to see if that really is going to catch enough fire and for him to be the next board chairman of Asante Kotoko.
We'll be monitoring that story from Kumasi. Here in Accra, we also had a statement from Dreams FC, winners of the MTN FA Cup. They have made a firm commitment to participate in next season's CAF Confederations Cup competition. After winning that tournament, signaling their debut on the continental stage in a major international tournament. The club officially declared their intention in a statement expressing their eagerness to feature in the prestigious African competition. This decision came after what they say were thorough discussions and consultations with all relevant stakeholders. In the official statement released by the club, they announced the board, and quote, following extensive discussions with the management, is delighted to inform all stakeholders of our resolve to compete in the CAF Confederations Cup. So, a couple days ago, we had the winner of the Ghana Football Awards 2023, Footballer of the Year, meet the Vice President. Dr. Baumia congratulated Kudus Mohammed and also Blessing Shine Agbomaji, who won the Female Footballer of the Year for outstanding campaigns in the year under review.
It's amazing how this award scheme hasn't been there all these years. Because one would have thought we are a footballing nation, number one sports in the country. One would have thought that this football award scheme would have been in place a long time ago. But better late than never. I want to congratulate all of you who have worked so hard to put this award scheme together. I think it's just been started, and it's really, its time has come. So I want to congratulate you on putting these awards together, and to congratulate our first two winners, male and female. I don't think anybody can question whether Kudus or Blessing should have been the footballer of the year in terms of that. We've seen them play, and we are very proud of them. Very, very, very proud of them because of what they have done on the field, playing for the country, playing for their respective, clubs. We saw Kudus in the World Cup and everything. So we are very proud of them. We want to congratulate. I want to congratulate them. Blessings, Hazaka's ladies. It's a club that I have supported a bit. As you know. So it's a club that I'm also very interested in. And now you are up in Morocco, doing very well up there. And I wish you very, very well. And it's very good that we are promoting the female sports as well, because for the longest time they have been left out, so it's good that we are doing this. And I just want to assure you of my personal support and the government support in this. I think it's going to be very, very important that we carry this forward and we deepen it and improve on it as we go on. So whatever it is that if you need my intervention in anything, just let me know. I'm very, very excited about this award scheme, and I thank you for the courtesy of coming here to present these awards to me in a symbolic fashion. So I'm very, very happy.
For the tenants, you can get more updates on myjoyonline.com, and on that page, on the sports page, you can find more stories on Wimbledon and from Ghana and elsewhere. There, we need approval of the new nomination fee for the road map. That's the GFA's response to questions about when exactly we will be having the GFA elections, because by now the dates should have been out. Also, Ghana's under-23 volleyball team, guess what? They are going to Niger to represent the country, and they are going by bus. They are going by bus. What a scandal. We have more on that on myjoyonline.com and our subsequent bulletins also. So, and also Greater Accra Regional FA Women's Warriors have edged Jonina ladies. You can get more on their website. I'm Gary Al Smith. Please follow us on our socials for more. You have a wonderful day, and Ben and his crew are here to continue with the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show, and this morning a number of issues we kickstart the big stories with. We're going to be talking about the James Gyakye Quayson conundrum, if you like. He's won again. He took that by-election, but how will things go, especially when the likes of the Domahene, a High Court judge, among others, have said, you know what, let it go. We also have on the chopping board the NPP and its flag bearership race. Yesterday, 3 people were vetted. Alan Chabateng, former Minister for Trade and Industry, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Kojo Nsafwa Poku, who actually is an energy analyst. All of them were vetted. Today, another batch of 3 will go. But what do we make of that, among other issues of national concern? We're going to be talking about energy, power. The situation now, we really have to get a grip on. Well, joining us for that conversation, we have Nii Lantey Vanderpuye, he is Member of Parliament for Ododo Diodo. I hear it's no Ododo Diodio, Ododo Diodo. And then Davis Ansa Opoku, he is Member of Parliament for Mpraia. So both of them join the conversation. But we'll start with Nii Lantey Vanderpuye for now. He joins us in the studio. A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you.
I think it's only fitting. I've not heard you in an interaction in a long while. What has been happening? Have you been off the radar intentionally?
Well, first let me say good morning to your viewers and also to all my people in Ododo Diodo, and to also say good morning to the good people of Asin North for making us proud. You know, we've been doing this for long, so it's time that we also give opportunity to young ones coming in. And I said, some of us sometimes take the back seat and allow the young ones to come out so that they will also be heard. It's always good to give opportunity. NDC must be seen as a party that give opportunities to the younger generation. Others like Totobi Kwachi and the rest, John Mahama and, you know, Ben Kumbo, they started it and they left the scene for us. And as such, when we have done it for some time, sometimes also you keep too long on the set and you become too anonymous with people. So it's always better to just get out a bit, keep a low profile like the submarine. You become amphibious. You just get into the water for a bit and then you come up and then you go in again. So once in a time, we come out to show our face and then we go back into the wilderness and try and keep the young ones going. So it's always good. And brilliant young ones are coming up. Some of them are much, much more brilliant than us. The current crop are doing very, very well. And I'm happy. I'm happy that...
Are there any that stand out for you?
See?
Are there any of such young people that stand out for you?
A lot. Because quite recently you see the Deputy National Communication, Basin Tale, you saw the Sami Jemfi himself, you saw Beatrice Annan, you saw Gabriela. You also saw some people coming up. And even after them, we are seeing new ones also coming up this year. Some of them I've not seen or heard before they appeared on set. And when I said, wow, if these people are there, then you don't need us anymore.
So the future of the NDC is bright.
Very, very bright, because we have very tenacious young men and women coming up. Versatile indeed, to be able to communicate well and also do other things. So those of us who have been in the trenches for long need to take some little bit of a stay back and advise, counsel them and guide them. That is most important. The work cannot be done by the same group of people all the time. The dynamics of politics sometimes demands that new faces sometimes become more attractive to the market.
Right. Sometimes those fresh legs are needed. Every political party, whether it's governance, political party politics, or whatever you're talking about. But I usually do this with members of parliament who come on the show. Today is not going to be different. By the way, Nii Lantey Vanderpuye, you know, I'm laughing because while I'm not on his level, he's my classmate. So we read a program together. Yes. So it's a bit interesting having this conversation with you because...
And I just hope this afternoon they will not take us on in a class.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But let's talk about your constituency, Ododo Diodo. Yeah. What has changed in your constituency for the better since this latest term that you have had? What value have you added to your constituency? They've retained you time without number. I remember the last time with Nii Lantey Vanderpuye and the struggles and everything that you went through. But what can you say the people of Ododo Diodo can boast of because they gave you the nod?
Well, first let me say that the fact that I've been able to keep Ododo Diodo up there is one of the most respected constituencies when it comes to issues about the NDC. Ododo is always talked about. And we've run the constituency in such a way that we become almost like an example for many others. There's nothing that is done in the constituency, in the region about NDC that we are not consulted or used as an example. Almost every program of the party almost every program of the party is seen as a reflection of their work and activities in Odododio. So reorganization, let me say, if they want to get people to be involved in some decision making, as far as the region is concerned, as far as national politics is concerned, Ododo is used always as a test case. As I'm talking to you now, we have not had our primaries because a research for the 2024 elections was being done, and we were one of the constituencies that were picked as the sample constituencies to be used for the research, to be able to examine what are the things that we need to do going into elections 2024. So it's important that we keep the image and, let me say, respect the dignity of the constituency always. And that is what I have done to keep Ododo in the news for positive reasons and to change the perspective of politics in the constituency. I'm happy he is also here. He's also one of the boys we brought up in Ododo, just that he's in the wrong party.
When you say brought up in Ododo?
Yeah, we brought him up in Ododo. He's from Ododo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
an interesting. I didn't know that.
A lot of Kwawu politicians who actually cut this thing cut for them in Ododo.
Their teeth, eh?
Yes, cut.
Their political teeth.
Not only the Kwawu politicians. Brian Achampong from Ododo also got some training for Ododo. Patrick Boama, all of them, they've got some training for Ododo. And so, you see, because of the fact that historically it's a very important constituency, it is important that when you are the MP there, you maintain that image. Keep a good relationship with opinion leaders, with the political bigwigs, all the state actors within the constituency, non-state actors within the constituency, and keep them together and make sure that you maintain that image. And that is what we have done. Apart from that, we've achieved some few results in area of infrastructure, especially education, health, and also the social development itself. And that is something I'm so proud of. If it happens that I'm no more there, I have a lot to point to, a lot to talk about as my legacy.
All right, and that's an interesting, I wasn't going to ask this, but when you made mention of if you're no longer there, you remember the likes of E.T. Mensah and Sam George taking over.
Yes.
You've also been, how many terms have you had in Parliament
3.
now? 3 of them?
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of longevity, you are one of those up there, though there are some who had been in there from 96 and all of that. In terms of giving the opportunity to young people, how much longer is Nii Lantey Vanderpuye going to be there? I know sometimes some can go for long terms. Look at the current Speaker of Parliament, how many 8 years he had been there before.
8 terms.
8 terms. Should that be the norm? Because sometimes people also say we need fresh blood in there. We need younger people. What's your quick take on that?
Under normal circumstance, the work of Parliament, I would say that demands a lot of experience.
Institutional memory.
Yes, it's very important because when you go into Parliament for the first term, there's so much that you may not be able to get your fingers on the first term. And constituencies that have the interest of just throwing out members of Parliament, in fact, when the attrition rate is so high, it doesn't enough to your benefit. It's always better to give people opportunities to get experience. So I would say minimum 3 terms for every member of Parliament.
Okay.
I would advise and advocate
to be able to have an impact.
To be able to have an impact. Because the first term is basically to be able to get to know what Parliament is. You could be in that house for a whole term without knowing certain offices. It's a huge place. So much is done. So you need to get yourself up and know that, look, this is an embodiment of Parliament. This is what, so far I've not been able to get to grasp with this. I've not been able to hold this. I've not been able to get myself involved in this. So how do I do it in the next term? And when you do that, it opens opportunities for you. But sometimes people also think that being a member of Parliament is sometimes a privilege. Yes, I see it as a privilege, but it's also work, a lot of work. You must read, you must do a lot of research, you must be able to impact positively on deliberations in the House. then most of the work is done at the committee level. So what are your contributions at the committee level? If you bring somebody new all the time, the person always have problems getting himself used to the work in the committee. So I think that everybody should have a taste of it, but at least 3 terms should be fine for every member of parliament to make an impact in his constituency and also on the work of parliament.
Right. And that is an interesting picture, especially as I come to the Mpraeso MP, David Sansa Poku, member of the 8th Parliament. This is your first time in Parliament. So, I don't know, that is like music to your ears, when he says at least 3 terms to really get yourself started, get yourself running. I'm wondering, though, before you get into that, you are in all black, he's in all white. So what did you guys decide this morning?
Oh, I think
unintentional, huh?
There's a mere coincidence. That's my big brother. That's my uncle.
Yeah.
First, let me say a very good morning to your viewers,
Right.
especially those watching us from my constituency in Praiso. And like you mentioned, some of us, we had the privilege of growing up in Odo. And I've always maintained that anybody who grew up in Odo has the capacity to do anything in this world. We are fearless, so
the streets will teach you how to.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
tough.
Tough. I mean, growing up, I remember on a particular street, used to have the MPP candidates Odwesi's house on one stretch, then the NDC office on another stretch, and during election, the NDC will be declared winner in the constituency, but we will be waiting for the national elections. So the NDC would start with the jubilation. And all the
and you would end with it.
Then we end with it. I mean, it's an interesting place to live. But like you mentioned, I mean, Parliament itself is an institution that is very huge. I think I was privileged to have done my national service in Parliament for a year. So probably maybe I knew a bit or two. But that said, I mean, we need to be able to protect members of Parliament. Yes.
And you were even a member of the National Mock Parliament at the time.
Yes,
right?
I was. One of the things that there's a senior colleague who says that this is a game of madness. I mean, you enter into politics, you spend a lot of money, get to Parliament, you realize that, I mean, the salary is not commensurate. But then people end up insulting you the most. We spend a lot in the constituency to initiate projects and everything. And it's an interesting, for me, if you're able to manage yourself as a member of Parliament and do at least 2 to 3 terms, it's a learning platform for you that whatever is given to you in future, you are able to manage it. Because managing constituency and managing the work in the House is quite huge.
I have a quick one for you. So, 2 major things, very quickly. And the second one I would want you to address as well, Nii Lantey Vanderpuye. It has to do with parliamentarians and your expectations as far as development, the developmental agenda is concerned. You are lawmakers, but all of a sudden you are doing what DCs, MCs, and others should be doing. But I'd like you to tell us a bit about Mpraeso. What is happening in Mpraeso? What's the latest? What are you doing for your people? Because I gave that opportunity to Nii Lantey Vanderpuye. Briefly, I want to hear from you.
Thank you very much. I think first, Mpraeso is a very calm area usually, unless the weekends where you have a lot of funerals. Our main focus has been to improve on the infrastructure. Something you will say that is not really the work of the MP, but I would say the MP is largely involved because you are seen as the lead advocate for the people. I mean, if they want development, you are the one that needs to trumpet it. If they want their voices heard in Parliament or even on television, you should be able to champion it. For instance, yesterday, we had a press conference in Kwahu. There was a press meeting in Kwahu where some media people complained that the pontoon on the Volta Lake has been operating with an engine just one engine for quite some time.
Right.
So as the MP, immediately after the program, I had to pick my phone, call the VRA boss. He directed me to the Volta River Transport Limited, Volta Lake Transport Limited CEO. I spoke to the woman, and we've been able to arrive at some timelines. And in the next 2 weeks, the pontoon should be operating with 2 engines. That for me is the essence of having a member of parliament. And so you may not necessarily be in charge of dispensing the money, or you are not the spending officer, but you should have a say as to what really goes into your constituency.
I agree. As for lobbying, you should be able to lobby.
Yes.
It's part of what you do.
We've been working on roads, some very critical roads in our constituency. An area I call the food basket of my constituency, in the Ntomem areas. And today, luckily, we have highways in there trying to construct roads. The MP is not paying for it, but the MP is seen as a person who should be lobbying to bring such developments there. And for me, I want to lace that with your question. It is so because, during electioneering period, during the campaign period, usually the populace or the Ghanaian people, the electorates, all they know are 2 people. One is a presidential candidate of the party, and 2 is a parliamentary candidate of the party. Now, the presidential candidate largely will do, let's say, 5 hours in your constituency and leave. It is incumbent upon you as a parliamentary candidate to go and sell the manifesto of the party to the electorates. In doing so, you end up telling them about their infrastructural needs and how you intend to solve it when your party is elected or when you are elected as a member of parliament. It tends to be a social contract between you and the people. So usually when you win, and more so when your party wins the larger election, they look up to you for those issues to be solved. If we were to vote for MMDCs and they are answerable or they are accountable to the people, I'm sure the MMDCs will now be responsible for promising those projects, whilst we focus on the larger picture of enacting laws and making sure there are policies and programs that will...
And still lobbying. Because, for example, roads, you have the roads minister there.
Yes.
You'll be able to lobby him in the parliament.
So that has been the case. So it is not the case that MPs go around and make all the promises. And at the end of the day, they tend to tell people that they are not responsible for development. We are a part of the assembly.
Okay, so interesting point made there. Just briefly on that point. Some have said that the 1992 Constitution ought to be looked at in terms of clearly delineating what the member of parliament should do. Look at other jurisdictions. Look at the US and all of that. Lawmakers are lawmakers. Yes, they lobby, they do other things, but in terms of real development, you wouldn't expect, those in Congress to be neck deep in there. Quick thoughts on that.
You see, the problem we have in this country is the fact that sometimes when we're talking about those things, we should also look at the social context. Unlike US, we have a social, let me say, construct that makes it impossible for you, the MP, to delineate yourself from the social problems. Because in our traditional setup, Ben, you, tomorrow, your village, when you go to your village, everybody's true to you, come to you, because they see you always on television in suit. They think that you have a privileged position where their problems could be handled by you. It's the same manner in when you are elected as an MP. The people see you as the one who could possibly resolve some of the problems they have. So they come to you. And it's also such that by our societal and traditional norms, it's difficult for you to withhold support from the needy. Once you have, because of our extended family system, because of our social values, you want to help. So sometimes it's not about MPs doing what they are not mandated to do or going beyond their mandate and trying to do things that are not within the Constitution. The issue has to do with the fact that you are seen as somebody the society has put in a privileged position. And when they have problems, the only person they can come to you is you. Because you are the one they see. They can't go to the president. They will come to you, the member of parliament. I agree to some extent with my brother about the election of MMDCs, and I'm totally for it. I'm 100% for it. What I'm against is electing DCs on partisan basis. That one, I'm against it. I want a situation whereby I could decide tomorrow that I have between the member of parliament and the mayor of Accra. I can contest for anyone. So when I'm going to contest for a member of parliament, then I will go on a political ticket. But when I want to contest as the mayor of Accra, I don't need the political ticket. So that you or anybody else who doesn't want to sound or to be partisan in our society, especially looking at the way our politics has degenerated into factionalism and division. It is possible that somebody will aspire to want to serve society, want to serve his community, but not in a partisan position, so that we will offer that opportunity. But the truth of the matter is that constitutionally, I don't think that the Constitution has anything that says MPs must be responsible for anything. The Constitution says the MPs are the legislators. We make the laws. But then when you go outside the realm of, let me say, the legislature, there is no way you can also absolve yourself of the liabilities of expectation of your community and people. So you must take that upon yourself. But the truth of the matter is that this is seriously affecting a lot of MPs, because they now have to go beyond their means to be able to satisfy these demands. You get up in the morning and people who you know have voted for you come to you and say that they have problems with school fees. Can you really look at them and say, look, and so what? I'm not your parent. I'm not the one to pay your fees. Extremely difficult. In fact, in our society, it is not even accepted that you can throw somebody away. You offer help. People come to you, they are sick, there's an emergency case, they need to go and do the scan, they need to buy these drugs, and they come to you. There's no way you can look at them and say that, look, I'm not responsible. So those things always come. Those social pressures always come. The key to it is the fact that we need to enhance our development in such a way that people will have job to do, the vulnerabilities within the society will be limited and minimized, so that people will stop depending on others. That is the only way that MPs will also be free to focus principally and mainly on lawmaking.
Right.
Other than that, they will continue to spend their time addressing social issues more than the legislature.
Interesting points both of you have made this morning, and this is a conversation that I'll keep having on the show, and hoping that push will come to shove and some things will over time become better, because governance is a process. It's a destination that we must get to. But let's get into some other crucial issues this morning. We'll go back to Parliament. And so the Office of the Special Prosecutor, for example, is investigating some 150 cases. There's been a lot of talk about what has been done, what is in the pipeline. But one of those crucial cases, moving away from the former Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Dubois-Haynes' issue, which is also on the front burner, there is the bit about that faceless businessman who attempted, supposedly, to influence members of Parliament when there was that push for Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister of Finance, to be set aside. The OSP has gone into that matter as well. But I'd like to find out from you, as members of Parliament. I'll start with you, Davis. What do you make of it? I find it curious as a media person, because I heard the leadership of Parliament at the time speak about it, including the majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu. So obviously it isn't as though we didn't know this person. I heard talk about things that had exchanged hands, things that had not exchanged hands. I heard about offers that had been made, offers that had not been made. Should we even have got here? I mean, should this not have been dealt with by now? Davis, I'll start with you.
Well, I think first what we should realize, or what we should appreciate, is that it seriously becomes a crime when there's been an offer made and an acceptance.
Exactly, in law, offer and acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure anybody took anything from anyone just to influence the decision that the members of parliament took. I mean, it was at the early stages of this whole Ken must go thing. And of course, everybody should be concerned. I was a part of the group that championed it. And we were not only invited by individuals in this country to hear us, but the Council of State, the Council of State of the country, Council of Elders of our party leadership, including the president, met with us, to listen to us, our grievances, and to see how best we're able to solve them. It is one of the reasons why we did not support the call by the NDC for the vote of censure. So I would not say that there's been some corrupt practices here. And I think that largely due to some miscommunication, or the PR around it did not really go well.
Miscommunication, because this was on the majority side,
yes,
by the way.
Yes.
And what we heard, I wish we could go back and pick some of the tapes and the utterances, the remarks from members of parliament on the majority side.
That's what I'm saying.
I do not believe these were mayor utterances. There were powerful reactions to them.
Usually, I can take a position on a matter, and as a member of parliament, you would have people try to lobby you. For instance, I support the allowing people with dual citizens to sit in parliament and work. But you have agencies in this country or individuals in this country who hold contrary opinions. They will come to you, try to lobby you, or try to get you to stand down your position. I also know that there are people who support the bill. And people like Akufo-Addo who would want to meet with members of parliament to argue the matter out. All of this, for me, is part of the process. So we raise an issue.
But when you try to an entire caucus,
no.
When you have a meeting with a chunk of one side, and supposedly there is monetary influence peddling, is that right?
No, I am telling you on authority that I virtually served as more like the secretary to the group. I was in charge of all the legworks and everything. I did not see anybody bring us money.
I see.
No. Of course, we met with a lot of people. I told you, even the Council of State of this country met with us, not on one occasion, about 3 or 4 occasions. We held meetings with the president. We held meetings with everybody who mattered when it came to our call for Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta to go. So that's what I'm saying, that it only becomes a corrupt practice when, for instance, somebody comes to you and tells you, Charlie Jack, this thing that you guys are doing, is unnecessary. So take 20 cedis and shut up. You take the 20 cedis, you either shut up or you do not shut up. Once you take the money, it is deemed as...
So if it is proven that there was some exchange of
I am telling you
money...
If there were any exchange of money, I'm saying today on your program that I would have seen the money.
Okay. And it would be criminal?
It would be criminal.
Okay.
It should be criminal.
All right. Just a quick one. Do you know who this businessman is in question?
But that's what I'm saying, that we met with a lot of people. We met with several people in this country.
Okay.
We met with individuals who are party people. We met with people who have interest in this country, businessmen who felt that at the time, if these things were not managed well, probably maybe some unknown faces would have gotten involved and would have plugged this country into some state of chaos.
Right.
So everybody had an interest, and that is why people will be interested in meeting the members of parliament to hear them out.
Right. I get the point you're making, but as I come to Nii Lantey Vanderpuye, what I find curious is You see, Davis says a lot of people with of course, different interests. I mean, look at the bill on proper human rights and sexual values and all of that. You've had different people coming sharing their opinions. That lobbying will happen. But if all the businessmen and all the people who may have got involved, if one person is singled out because Asemesi did this or that, then it becomes a point of curiosity. But from where you sit, on the other side, you didn't get any such influence. But what do you make of that situation? And would you also want to get to the bottom of that entire businessman saga?
Well, let me also say this. Ghanaians must appreciate the fact that lobbying is part of parliamentary process. Here, it is not as pronounced as other jurisdictions. So people see lobbying as bribery. People see lobbying as corruption. But people will always lobby members of parliament, especially legislators, to be able to advance and advocate for a particular cause as far as parliamentary procedure is concerned.
But where do you draw the line?
And the line should be the integrity of the House. It's very important that people must listen. Yes, there's a need for you to do consultation. Because sometimes we even go out of our way to do the consultations. So, for example, if there is a bill before us and it's about communication, we think Agbeko is good, has some knowledge that we can tap, we can call on you. You could come to meet with us and tell us what your view on the subject matter is. So that is done. There have been so many instances where we've had workshops outside Accra, for example, on a particular issue that we've invited people, or people have voluntarily come to meet with us. Sometimes some of these people will appreciate their invitation. Some of them will say that, oh, this is what we are also happy, since we are doing it, this is water for you to be able to go through the process. And it's happened so many times. I won't sit here and pretend that those considerations have not been done by certain institutions. But on this particular matter, let me say this. I heard few individuals talk about those things, and to me, it sounded awkward to me, because those things, the way they were talking about it, even if it happened, it wouldn't have happened the way people were talking about it, because those things are done in a very sacrosanct manner, not to incur public attention. So I think that it was born out of the anger in some of the petitioners for Ken must go, in the way they were being stopped by the presidency and other structures of the party. So it is not a matter, because sometimes, I remember very well, one of the days we were called to a meeting on a particular issue. All that we said was that we won't come. We won't come. We don't want any influence. We don't want anybody to come and tell us anything. So that is the issue. So if somebody is standing there, the person will think that truly it's about money, and so you are rejecting the offer, you don't want to come in. So I heard it. It was odd to me. It didn't sound good for the integrity and the image of the legislature. But then I will also be happy if investigations are conducted thoroughly, so that Parliament
which the OSP has done.
Well, so that Parliament will be exonerated, so that those people who made those statements will have the privilege of defending what they said, and the image of Parliament that was, let me say, tainted or damaged a bit in that particular instant would be absorbed.
Okay.
It is important because, you see, I say this, the institution of Parliament is our democracy. It's the spine of our democracy, not the executive and not the judiciary. Without legislature, we don't have democracy.
Right.
So the integrity and the image of members of Parliament and Parliament must always be protected. Because if people lose confidence in the legislature, it becomes difficult for them to continue to have confidence in the democratic process.
Right. And that is a crucial point you've made. Let me come to you briefly. I want us to get into James Jachikwesi, and it will be swanning today, by the way. But before we go there, and before I come to you for your take on the entire Asin North saga, the win for your party, just a quick one. This story in the graphic business today talks about engaging and building investor confidence. It has to do with the economy, the DDEP. In fact, just to read a bit of it, it talks about capital market experts asking government to be transparent as it engages investors to restructure dollar-denominated bonds totaling about $809 million. Basically, what they are saying is, don't go the same way as you did with the DDEP. Engage, a lot of engagement before you go. Don't just come and thrust something and then there'll be a whole lot of back and forth. Look at what happened the last time. On the back of that, I'd like to find out from you, has your team's Ken Must Go drive come to an end? There were promises made by Mr. President in terms of complete the IMF program, the deal. Once it's signed, sealed, delivered, we'll take over from there. I just want to know from you. You are one of those who spearheaded it. Has it come to an end? Are you still pushing it?
So for me, I did Ken Must Go not because of what President said to me. I did Ken Must Go largely because of what my constituents told me. I mean, I come from a constituency that is largely business centered. I mean, go to Okanshi, the Kantamantus and everywhere. At that time, I mean, when they speak to you, they call you, you have a feel that indeed something needed to be done. I think that the circumstances...
Has that changed?
Largely so. Today, the IMF has come in. They are helping manage things. The dollar is not misbehaving like we saw during those turbulent times.
It's not?
No.
Do you know how much the dollar is trading for now?
It's
still hovering around 12 cedis.
It's fairly stable. You see, if you're a business person, it's not really about how much the dollar is selling for, but it's about the rate at which the dollar either appreciates or depreciates. That is our concern. I am a business person. I've been selling Tiger head batteries and everything in our country for a very long time. So we wanted some stability with our currency. We wanted some improvement in our local economy, and which largely affected business people. Today, when I talk to my people, they tell me that yes, things are not like we would want it to be, but they accept the fact that it is a continuous process, and the government continues to engage capital markets and all of that. So if today you have to ask me my stance on Ken Must Go, I will tell you I'm a bit relaxed on this whole Ken Must Go.
You're a bit relaxed. Does it mean you've let go of it?
Of course. I mean, I'm saying that for me...
Have you let go of that?
Yes. I'm telling you that for me, it was not about Ken Ofori-Atta nor the MPP government nor the president. It was about how my people were feeling that time.
Okay, but just clarify for me.
Yes.
From where you sit,
yes,
your caucus, those you mustered, the over 80 MPs at a point, and then at a point about half of you who really wanted Ken out. Have you dropped that entire mission? Has the mission been aborted?
So for instance, this morning, we have a meeting with the finance minister.
When you say you, what do you mean?
I mean, the entire caucus has a meeting with the finance minister.
Okay.
And that is what we wanted. I mean, largely to sit with the finance minister, engage him on happenings. You know, one person do not have the solution to all the challenges.
Another repository of a whole
of knowledge.
Right.
So all we wanted is for constant engagement. This morning we'll do that. He will come to Parliament, answer questions. He comes there, engages members of Parliament, and we get to appreciate what really is going on. I mean, for us, there was a huge political decision to take. I mean, look at our performance in ASEAN. You cannot rule out the influence of the economy. I mean, how people feel. You can't rule out that. So, if really everybody's survival hinges on the economy, then it's important that we also contribute or have a say in how things are run.
Okay, so the thrust of your rhetoric, what I've got from you this morning is, one, we've let go of that drive to kick out Ken Ofori-Atta, and two, things are a bit more stable and we have more access to him now, so we're good to go, right?
So we, the true representatives of the people, have a feel that, I mean, we now appreciate what is going on. We see the improvement that is coming. And for us, that is what we see.
All right. What do you make of that position now? Because your end of the House was pushing for him to be removed. And interestingly, for the first time, we saw some support from them, only that they didn't agree with you on how to do it. But even as you share your thoughts on that, what do you make of the president's word? Because the president gave his word to them that let him get through this process, and when the IMF deal is sealed, he will be gone. What does that say about the president's word?
It's the president's, let me say, hypocrisy is legendary. The president has never meant anything he said. From the campaign platform till he became the president, he has never acted on anything he has said. So I've never taken any of his words as very serious. And when my colleagues went on that tangent, I knew they were just clamoring for attention. A lot of them.
But you must give it to them. First time in a long while, apart from maybe the Liman era when he faced challenges that he did as far as his budget was concerned. I've never in the history of the Republic seen governments, members of parliament go against a finance minister like they have.
I knew that decision they were taking would be aborted. Because the culture of silence within their party is so endemic. It's so strong.
Culture of silence in the MPP.
Within their party is so strong. So I knew.
They speak of development in freedom.
Words, rhetorics. So I knew it was going to fail. We were in Akufo-Addo when we hatched all this with some of them, even their leadership. And they urged us, because when they started, it will be aborted. So they urged us to move so that they will follow us with their support. At least it will come to voting. All of a sudden, we came back and they decided to jump the gun. So we knew that they were not acting in good faith. So we decided that we will not abort our stand. We will still go ahead. Whether they support us or not, we will go ahead. And so we did. I'm happy my friend confirmed for the fact that things are still hard. Things are difficult, and that was a reflection in the vote in Asin North. Ken Ofori-Atta need not be in office. Today, apart from the issue of transparency that we are talking about, the government must be transparent in all its dealings as far as the economy is concerned, especially with the local markets. I have read an article where Fitch is complaining seriously about the level of domestic borrowing. Ken's whole philosophy about the economy is borrow, bond, borrow, bond, borrow, bond. That's all. He has not got any knowledge as to be able to turn around the economy and make sure that trade facilitation, investment, industrial development, production, all these factors come together to ginger up and to boost the economy. All that he knows is how to go to the bond market, borrow, sew up this, be able to solve this problem, borrow from here, do this. So it becomes a whole like a Ponzi scheme. And that's the economy he has run all this while. From onset, from the first time, his first administrative work, he went into a bond market, Ken Bond. And all through. So I don't see him as a real answer to the economic development of a country like Ghana. You need somebody who understands the dynamics of our economy and be able to appreciate where those factors can come in to be able to sustain them.
I've been asking myself the same question, but regardless of it, look, in this Fourth Republic, for example, we've had businessmen.
Yeah.
Dr. Akufo-Addo for Ken Ofori-Atta.
Yes.
We've had academics. I mean, Setekpe is practically a lot of the time out of the country, lecturing at Harvard and the rest. What will it take? We've had all of them. those with the very technical knowledge. Some people will tell you that, look, when it comes to the business sphere, Ken Ofori-Atta, Dr. Akufo-Addo, you don't even need to talk a lot about them. When it comes to academic work and knowing, we have the vice president who was also touted as an economic wizard. None of that is working.
The difference, you see, this gentleman sitting here told you he's been in Okaishi, he's been, yes, I agree with him. The difference between Ken Ofori-Atta and Commando 4, the fact that you need to add what we call a Fienyansa.
Are you suggesting Ken Ofori-Atta doesn't have a Fienyansa?
He hasn't got it. Because he has...
But that is a bit of...
No.
You're basically saying he lacks common sense.
No, what I'm saying is that, you see, this economy is not what you read in the books. It's not what you are taught in Harvard. There are people who sit at Okaishin, people who sit at Abosokain, Katamanto, who are more brilliant as far as managing business is concerned than us, who think we are educated, who think we've read all the economic books and all those things. True. That's what I'm talking about. Commando 4 style, in spite of all those investment knowledge he has, added the local economic sense to the management of the national economy. So he did not just look at the macro, he also looked at the microeconomy and look at what could happen. And one of the people who also did that was Barredo. The late Barredo.
Yeah. Fine gentleman. Yeah, whenever his name is brought up, I always...
He just don't look at those figures. He just don't look at the let me say, he looked at the local economy. How do these decisions we take impact on the person who sells KK and fish? How does it impact on the poor farmer who is bringing his goods from the hinterland to the city? Those are the issues you look about, because those are the people who sustain the economy. And not just about the figures you see, the inflationary figures and the rest, the macro figures. No. So Ken must begin to look at the issue. This is not an Harvard economy. This is Ghana's economy.
This is not a Yale economy.
You understand?
Right.
What are the issues that are involved in this economic management vis-a-vis the things that are involved in looking at economies elsewhere? This is simple. Look, if you go to the US, every state has its own dynamics of economy. They don't have the generic program or plan for managing.
I mean, there's something done at the federal level, but at the state level, every entity, just as with the Roe versus Wade and how now has gone, states are individually coming up with their own positions on it, whether to stick to what the federal perspective is or as states, so
and that's my problem. Dynamics. And if my brothers are aborting,
we don't do a
no, we don't have a
if my brothers are aborting their stand, well, it's good for them. In 2024, Ghanaians will speak to it.
Do you think Ken should still be at post from where you sit?
I think Ken should go.
You think Ken should go? Let's get into...
Nothing has really changed. Nothing has changed. But for the IMF, this thing, what has changed?
All right. Let's get into...
and you see, it becomes a cow dung management style, which is not good. Because as far as this IMF money gets out of the system, we are going back.
No, you see, the IMF is not just about...
Briefly on that, because we have to make tracks. Briefly, because you've already had your take on the economy, but you go ahead.
It's about the opportunity it gives you to get onto the capital market.
Right.
So you want to go to the capital market again?
No government,
but
even no
Davis,
government.
Isn't that the problem?
Where can survive?
You want to add to our...
No government can survive without going... It's like running a business.
Right.
You can have all the money...
It's not about not going to the capital market, Davis. It's about the level at which the number of times. I mean, you have to agree that we've been, within the last 6+ years, we've been very happy going to the capital market. To the point where even recently when Mr. President was being questioned about the IMF deal, at a point he would say that, this and that. And then he would say, we're going back to the capital market, which, by the way, is not our reality. But aren't we too happy? Isn't that part of why we are where we are? We are over-borrowing. We are taking more than... And when we get to this point, we have to go to the IMF, go through the pain again. When will we learn?
Well, I'm saying that. I mean, no government can survive without going to the capital market. I mean, people get onto the Euro bonds, look for money to develop, construct roads, build projects that the Ghanaian people are looking forward to. I mean, the people, Cocoa Board will engage.
But you people said if economy management is all about borrowing, then your 18-year-old children will be able to manage the economy. That's what you people said.
So I'm only telling you the realities as it is. But so I mean, let's not
this put their hypocrisy.
Let's not create the impression that a government can come and survive without going to.
But that's what you said.
No. But you see that Davis. So the point is, we all know that. But like Nii Lantey is also pointing out, I mean, you said things like we're moving from taxation to production, and we'll use our own resources to produce everything here. You know, we'll move the economy from this to that. When you spew such rhetoric,
yes, but
you should expect the backlash that will come when you are not able to meet that rhetoric.
I mean,
no country does not operate on the capital market. Even the United States, the biggest economy in the world, does. But to what extent? What is the ratio to GDP? And even there, even if it is high, how are they able to meet their debt obligations vis-a-vis our economy?
So we promised Ghanaians that we're going to move our economy from taxation to production. And look at the 1D, 1F. I mean, it's unprecedented. Not even Nkrumah brought such numbers of
1D,
factories.
1F.
Yes, I mean,
can you name 10 factories that are up and running and producing? And you see, when we have this conversation, sometimes I feel we take it out of context.
Yes.
What we should be doing is, okay, so we have, let's say, 30 factories on board, because sometimes you go to certain places, you are told, and you go there and there's no factory, or the factory is not operational. But those that are on board, let's say in crucial areas like rice production, tomato production, like this and that. Look, we used to import, let's say, X billion.
Yeah.
Now on the back of this, we are importing Y billion, and this is what it is contributing to the local economy. That is the reality. This bit about we set up a factory here, it doesn't add anything.
It is reflective in the data. If you have a trade surplus, 2022 there was a trade surplus, and I'm sure by 2023 when the data comes out, we are going to see that it's not an event. It's not like you've put together 130 factories, so suddenly you should stop importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso.
But you made the comparison with Nkrumah. That's what Nkrumah did.
No.
That's what Nkrumah did.
It's not true.
The Bosso glass factory. Many of the things. Well, we're not producing these Sanyo things in this country.
It did not.
That was what Nkrumah did.
It did not mean that we were not importing such materials.
No, I'm not saying that there was a total cessation. The Lebanese, but you can't compare this to
the Lebanese community did not start today. They've been there. I mean, since Nkrumah's time. People have been dealing.
No one said they started today.
Import and export in this country for a very long time.
But what was the level?
So as for the level, once population continues to grow, certainly there will be demand for a lot of things. That is why the 1D, 1F.
You can't tell me you have embarked on 1D, 1F. You can't tell me you have embarked on 1D, 1F. And then for 4 years, we cannot be able to see the impact of that injection.
That is why I told you about trade surplus. I mean,
trade surplus where?
Yes. Go and look at the data. I mean,
which data are you referencing?
Oh, go to and I'll refer you to Ghana Export Promotion website. Go there. Look at what is happening with how we are.
Are you talking about the GIPC?
Not
GEPA.
GEPA. Oh. Just try and visit there and
the GEPA
get to. But
all right.
That said, let me congratulate Nii Lantey and the NDC for what they did at Asin.
Right.
And also to congratulate my good friend, Kwesi.
James Jachi Kwesi.
Joe Kwesi.
Joe Kwesi.
But you were there to campaign against him.
No, I was not there.
You were part of Alan's team.
But wait. I find this interesting. You say you were not there, but if you had the opportunity, you would have been there to campaign for Charles Obi.
He was with Alan.
Of course. I mean, so that is why once you are obeying a certain process, the seat was vacant. There needed to be an opportunity for people to contest. So once there's somebody on the ticket of your party,
he's your friend.
Once there's somebody on the ticket of your party, you are mandated to campaign. But I think for one, I was bereaved, so I could not come to Asin.
Something I found interesting, though, just because you guys have brought it up. On the day in Parliament, you were noticeably missing for parliamentary business. NDC side, NPP side. You guys, all of you went to Asin. Did you forget you were legislating?
It was a do or die for all political parties.
Hey!
In fact, the institution of Parliament was much more at stake in these elections than individual political interests. Let me be frank with you. I went to Asin North, not just because of anything, but to preserve the integrity of Parliament. And you see, the reason why I'm saying I'm accusing him is the fact that sometimes we tend to forget the fact that this politics we are involved in is not stronger than our individual relationships. OPK sitting here, me and him have a very good relationship, a very strong relationship.
Of course, it shouldn't be that just because you're on different political sides.
Yes.
You become.
Then OPK will sit down and hear me on a political platform campaigning against him. After that, what?
So you were saying something?
Yes.
Judge Kwesi is his friend.
Yes.
So he didn't campaign against him.
I am seriously unhappy with some of our colleagues.
On the NDC side or
on the MPP side?
Why?
On the majority side.
Why?
Who openly came, like Sylvester Tete.
Oh,
like the rest. I'm being frank with you.
No, it's not fair.
I'm saying it because I've told him.
It's not fair.
I'm not happy. With OPK and other members of parliament who are in the same committee with him. We are in the same local government committee.
But they are in different parties. And you guys are in different parties.
And so,
I mean, is there some sort of
you don't consider
committee loyalty?
No, you don't consider relationship. So you campaign against me, openly come and stand a campaign against me. I'm back in parliament. And we meet at the committee level and what will happen? You expect to cooperate with me.
I see.
Sometimes we need to look at this thing that we are doing, this politics. It will come to a time when you will not be in that house anymore. And so what are sort of the...
And we'll be meeting at Akufo-Addo.
Yeah.
To sit with the voice to play.
How do we relate?
Or draft.
You understand?
Right.
In fact, look, you see, if the NDC were in power, and that is being done to OPK, I know he will come first. The first person he will approach is me.
Of course.
You understand? Because he understands the depth of our relationship. So when I saw a lot of our colleagues on the other side, in Asin North, really coming to contribute to the crucifixion and the death of our colleague.
These are very tough words. I mean...
If Kwesi has lost this election,
should we now take
if he has lost the election
from former President Rawlings again?
No, he said if he has lost this election, that would have been the end of him.
That died?
Look, me, I was not even looking at even his term of office in Parliament. The effect on him as a human being. It got to a time my brother was empty. Spiritually, you could see that he's really being tormented by what he was going through.
What I can say, why ha ha ha.
Thank you. So all of us had to go in to support him. And that is one of the things that kept him going, because he saw the solidarity, the love from all of us on the minority side, and even some of the people from the majority.
Since you started on that trajectory, let me just ask you, you know, Mr. President, when he was campaigning for Charles Opoku, spoke about the fact that you shouldn't vote for someone who would come with legal problems. And some have said that was in poor taste. But on the other end,
I rather heard him say that we shouldn't vote for a useless person like Charles Opoku.
Well, the truth is,
I think
he said...
It was just like standing on the platform, to say...
And say Nii Lantey Vanderpuye instead of... But we all know what his intent, we all know what he meant to say.
Really?
Yes, because he said it, not vote for a useless person, and then he mentioned that. But I'm sure we all know that he was not referencing
I want to focus on that
Opoku.
one.
but that was the statement. Then we also hear that Domahene and others, a few others, prominent people who have come out to say that, look, where the thing has gone to, the people of Asin have reiterated what they want in the person of James Kwesi. Issue a nolle prosequi, Attorney General. Let this go. The people have spoken. What is your take on that?
Well, is it because there's a member of parliament at play here? For me, I mean, at the beginning of this interview, I told you that I support and I'm pushing for Gao citizens to sit in parliament. So this whole thing of somebody holding a citizenship of another country, that person should not be denied an opportunity to contribute to the development of our country. Boris Johnson, he was a prime minister for UK. While serving as prime minister, he was a US citizen as well. I mean, the Prime Minister of Canada, he holds a Canadian citizenship as well as a US, a US citizenship. Jerry John Rawlings, we all know the parents of Jerry John Rawlings.
He was a Ghanaian.
No, so I'm saying that people's allegiance to the state should not be questioned by the mere fact that for one reason or the other, they embarked on a trip to seek for some greener pastures somewhere. You understand? So that is where I would want to look at this whole matter from. I support and I'm going to advocate for the bill to ensure that we allow dual citizens an opportunity. For instance, if you look at an institution like the NCA, that is the nerve of our country. NCA, the nerve of our country. Look at National Health Insurance Authority. That holds the data, the health data of our country. These two institutions can be managed by people who hold dual citizens. Why can't such persons sit in parliament to pass laws?
You have them in the SOEs and the rest, yet when it comes to certain institutions, you say they
So for me, that is where I want to look at. And I welcome this Jesse Question's election, and I'm thinking that it becomes a platform for members of parliament from both sides to engage in a dispassionate.
Should we look at the law? Should we reconsider?
Yes. So I am calling for an amendment of the law.
Okay.
We need to be able to amend Article 94, 2A or 2B, that says that the person should not be a citizen of any other country aside Ghana.
All right. At least by the interpretation of
I'm very happy from where my brother has come from. And that's exactly the context in which the Domahini spoke. People have taken what he said out of context. He said that, look.
And he's a former judge himself.
He's a judge. He's still a judge.
He's still a judge.
Well, he's still because I thought with the chieftaincy.
No, he's a high court judge in
Tema.
Tema. He said that the people outside, our citizens outside, contribute a lot FDIs into our economy. Even in our social life, they tend to help a lot of our communities with development projects and the rest. But when it comes to contributing to legislature, we say we cannot allow them. And we have passed a bill, we have passed the law on dual citizenship. Yet we are still holding on to the old law that do not permit people with dual citizenship to sit in parliament. So he is advising, as a judge, he is advising that the Attorney General and the President, he said he is advising, should just end this and now look at that law. You understand? I'm happy my brother is also saying it. And I will support him 100%. Because you see, the times when that law, that constitutional provision was made, has changed. Whether we like it or not. Today.
I mean, it snared Adamu Dramani Sakande.
You see, Adamu Sakande's own is different.
I get the differences, but I'm just saying that the same, maybe a similar context, snared.
That time, I said
but I get it in the context of the time, the period. Relevance then, that time, law must be relevant.
I said that it was wrong. Okay. Adamu should not have been incarcerated. You understand? I mean, it was wrong. If, for instance, somebody errs on the side of the law in his attempt to serve the nation, such a person should not go to jail.
See,
he went to jail.
And we are faced with a similar situation.
And that is why people would want to justify equalize what really is happening.
You can't compare oranges to apples. You see, my distance is this. People with dual citizenship can serve. You see, I have a very difficult interpretation of what allegiance means.
Okay.
Well, the time when you stand there and swear allegiance to Ghana, you sworn allegiance to Ghana.
Right.
When the law says that when you have allegiance to Ghana, you don't have allegiance to another country. It's automatic.
Right.
To me, it's like you married and then having a girlfriend. The girlfriend marriage is not a contract. But your marriage is a contract. So once you are a Ghanaian by birth, any other citizenship you acquire is not a contract. It's just an arrangement. It's just an agreement.
Okay.
So that one can be thrown away at any time. But you can't throw away your Ghanaian citizenship because you are by birth, you are a Ghanaian.
Okay, so I get the point you're making. I want us to get into the MPP flag bearership race. But before we do that, and then talk about power as well, some messages that are coming in, and some people are going hard on you, Davis. I'm going to read some of the messages. Akufo-Addo says, we don't even see the products of the factories in our market, not to even talk of export. And the rest of what you write, I cannot read. But at least a few, I was just about to mention Eku Juice is there. But then,
very well.
Akosia Papabi Dapa. Then she also says, you should never compare the MPP to Nkrumah delivered. She also says, So he's admitting that you cannot run a country without borrowing. So they lied to us to get to power. That's the question. Then there is Abraham Apiakubi, who says, give us the data that you have to compare the figures as before when you were talking about data. And he also says, don't run away from your 1D, 1F figures. Please, let's have your figures. What else comes this way? Okay. Throwing dust into the eyes of... I'll leave the rest. But those are some quick reactions that have come through. Let's talk about... let's get into the bit about the MPP's flag bearership race. The vetting has started, Davis, and yesterday you saw some really big wigs in your party. Alan Kwejo Chebatain.
Yeah.
There's also Dr. Baumia, and then we had Kojo and Safwa Poku also showing up. Today it continues.
Yeah.
I believe Boachie Jako, among others, Kennedy Japan will also be there. What do you make of the process so far?
I think so far so very good. Let me commend the leadership of the party for the management of the processes. So I mean, thus far. First, I want to appeal to all the contestants, and especially their followers, that we should all conduct this exercise taking into account the period or the timing left for the next election. I mean, after November, December, we would have virtually 10 months to the next election.
While the other side has hit the ground running, they're campaigning.
Today, in the NDC, they've been very strategic. Look at the position of the party not to contest or to open nominations in the do and allow for some time. For me, they are thinking about the next election. And I think that we would not have that benefit, largely because by December, we would have elected our presidential candidate. Then by February, ending March, we'll now be going into a contest to elect parliamentary candidates. So we all must be guided and measured in how we conduct ourselves in this process. That is why I want to also commend the aspirants. I mean, so far, you listen to them, people are campaigning based on their messages and what they seek to offer when elected to lead the party, and how they are able to break the age moving into... then there's a bit about the jamboree that usually happens, and people going there with placards and T-shirts at the party office. It all rejuvenates the party. I remember in 2007, I was a young student in the university and had to move right from Cape Coast to come and join Honorable Alanche Martin to go and fight. We walked from Obra Sports Circle with a huge crowd to the party office. This time we decided not to do that. And it tells you the experiences that come with it. I mean, when you go 1, 2, 3, you tend to gather a lot of experience and want to focus now on the delegates. That said, I know that eventually the person who wins will be able to garner the support of the other aspirants.
Are you tipping anyone?
What? Who?
Are you tipping anyone? Are you?
I'm campaigning for Alanche Martin. I strongly believe that is the best person to lead. You see, there's one thing that we all must know. In politics, people's sacrifices must be rewarded. In 2007, when this party was at the crossroads in Lagos, Alan single-handedly took a decision and said that he was not going to contest a second round of the election, and that he would allow his elder brother, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, to contest. That was the highest or the height of a political sacrifice that I have seen. I mean, look at the money involved. Just like in 2008 elections when President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, was leading Atamils with over 100,000 votes. Atamils then decided that he won't contest. Akufo-Addo would have been elected as president. But he went on to contest, and we also what happened during the second and the third round of the election. So going into an election of such nature, it was anybody's game. But probably maybe the man also considered the mood of the party, the health of the party at that time, and the sacrifice. So for me, I feel that, yes, people have served. John Mahama has done 8 years at the presidency. Dr. Bawumia has done 8 years at the presidency, and there's a need for a new face for Ghanaians.
I thought your party members used to say that John Dramani Mahama was the only one-term president who would give him 4 years. Now you're saying he's done.
No, he's done 8 years at the presidency.
No, but I'm just saying that your own people say he's done.
When I say 8
Vice
years,
President?
Vice President 4 years, he's done President 4 years. I mean, whatever he has to offer, he has done that.
Right.
And that is why, for me, I believe that if the MPP were to go into the next election with a new face against John Mahama, who has served 8 years at the presidency, we will be able to defeat John Mahama easily, moving into
just quickly, I mean, from where I sit,
yes.
I do not have any. Well, I do have data. I mean, looking at, for example, the global info analytics and others, the forerunners, the front runners, are Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Yes.
Why do you think Dr. Bawumia is not the ideal candidate for the MPP right now?
Well, I'm telling you that Alan is the ideal candidate. I'm not here to say that Dr. Bawumia is not the ideal.
Yes, but if Alan is the ideal candidate, there must be a reason that someone else isn't.
I'm saying that if Dr. Bawumia wins, he's competent enough to beat or to be president of this country. For me, it's about the electability of the person in the next election, the circumstances that surround the next election. We are going into an election where you would have to sell some messages. Today, the automobile industry is booming in this country. I mean, Toyota is here. You can talk about Nissan, local companies.
It's time as Minister for Trade and
Industry. The 1D, 1F, we looked at over 130 factories. And anybody who mounts any platform in the MPP to campaign for the party would be using these messages to campaign.
I think one thing, though, before I come to...
The proponent or the champion of these projects, if such a person wants to lead the party, coupled with the fact that he has served and served President Akufo-Addo, he served the MPP very well. I feel that just like everybody is saying, the Drew, Su, Shono, and everything that everybody is saying, for me, resonates. And that is why he has my vote and he has my support.
Okay.
And I'm going out.
Let me come to Nii Lantey Vanderpuye. But quickly, though, one thing that I think people don't get to know about Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen is his background in economics. I never hear anybody talking about that because for Dr. Bawumia, it's at the forefront. Everybody knows him for that. I wonder why, for those of you who claim to support him, no one ever talks about it. But anyway,
well, it's the same with his law background. I mean, you know he's a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same with his law background.
But the law doesn't really...
I think it tends to focus on the tangible, the things that he has done. I mean...
I don't know how the economy will not be tangible.
Talk about 1D, 1F.
But let me hear from Nii Lantey.
Let me say this. I don't care whoever MPP elects as flag bearer. The party is just finished. They don't have a message.
The MPP is finished?
It's finished. They don't
Why?
have a message. All that they will say to Ghanaians, they've said already. All the lies that they can propound and throw at Ghanaians have been thrown. Ghanaians have evaluated them. They've evaluated almost all of them. All the people in the race have served in one way or the other, apart from maybe Kwabena Japan, and maybe Adenimo, or maybe Insafwa Poku. But the rest have all been part of this corrupt system. They've all been part of this inept and this, let me say, incompetent, super incompetent system. I won't take out any one of them. The issue is that what message are they going to sell to Ghanaians in 2024? What? Free SHS, 1D1F, 1 village, 1 dam, 1 million, 1 constituency. Are those the messages they are bringing? What new message? What again are they going to say? So they don't really have any.
Maybe a turnaround in the economy would be all the messages.
Well, the turnaround in the economy. You've already destroyed people's businesses. You've already made thousands of Ghanaians unemployed.
But you do admit that if the MPP succeeds in turning around this economy and returning it to
with
sustainable growth,
still in
you do know that would create quite a fighting situation.
With Kenoforata still in the saddle, is the same 1-2-1-2 driver.
The same
1-2-1-2 driver. Borrowing driver. It's not going to change. The man virtually has no idea how to run this economy. All that he thinks about borrow here, satisfy here, 419. Azana one, Azana two.
I think
that is all.
But I think that is a bit.
We must be realistic. We must tell this man. This man is making people bleed.
When you say 4-1, no, hold on.
I think this morning my uncle is in a different mode because he used some words on the show.
But let me do this.
Yes.
The 419 implies fraud, criminality. I think for that one.
Okay, I've withdrawn 419.
Thank you.
I've withdrawn 419.
Thank you.
But what about Promzi business? Promzi is taken from here and started giving this person.
No, but a Promzi scheme is also criminal.
This is how this economy is run. Borrow from here, satisfy this. Borrow from here.
Were you not borrowing while serving as government? Why are you not borrowing?
We didn't super borrow and over.
But what is super borrow? What is super borrow?
All that you care about is
you borrow to the extent that you took this country to the IMF. Today, another government, despite the external shocks,
we didn't take this country to the IMF because of borrowing. We went to IMF.
So you went to IMF because of mismanagement?
No, we went to IMF to have what we call integrity for the program to.
But the bottom line is both of you went to the IMF. Both of you have gone to the IMF.
That's why for me,
we've been to HIPC, we've been to the IMF. But the point to be made, Davis. Just a second. The point to be made, Davis.
Going to IMF. When you came, you extended the term.
That is true. But the point to be made, Davis, is that when you look at the trajectory of our borrowing, you must admit that over the last 6 years, the borrowing has been out of this world. That is where I have a problem. It's not that no administration.
When the Ghanaian people are also seeing projects springing up and all of that. Ubecha Bilante.
Do you know where the money came from?
Tema Motorway.
All these monies were secured under John Mahama.
But gentlemen,
all those monies were secured under John Mahama.
Let me just appeal to the leadership of my party. That I know that now that we have over 10 people filing, we have what we call the super delegates.
Right.
I will be very grateful that we bring all the candidates together and bring all the aspirants to one place. Let them sell their message to the party leadership, especially the top hierarchy of the party. I mean, so instead of doing it at the regional levels, let's all come to because.
So let's not go to the grassroots level. They
will. But we now need to select best 5.
Yes.
I'm only saying that.
I'm
only saying that you have 900 people to vote on that decision. Let's all converge, let's say at Legon, and take a decision in a day, so that we will select the best 5 instead of doing it at the regional levels. I think that will help. It will cut down cost and all.
All right.
Yeah.
Alliance Campus is already crying
thank you
about abuse of incumbency.
Nobody is doing
it. Just to wrap the conversation, gentlemen.
You said about Umia Camp is abusing incumbency.
Nii Lantey Vanderpuye.
For example, what happened at St. North?
So we are capping off the conversation in some 3, maximum 4 minutes. I want you to address 2 issues for me. And for you, those 2 issues will come because you've been a former sports minister.
Yeah.
When you look at the trend of sports, the sporting fortunes of Ghana, especially our football, the men are not delivering. I've said this time and again, I'll say it. The women are delivering in a way, and we are not even treating them fairly. In the US, what the men get is what the female players are paid. Ahazake's ladies represented us, placed second, the first, club championship. They were not given anything by CAF. I feel we could have stepped in. We've not. Recently, our ladies went and beat the Nigerians again. Is it the Wafu tournament? The women are winning laurels for us. The men, but our sporting fortunes basically are dwindling. What do you make of that? And then for both of you, Dumso and the IPP situation. The experts are telling us that we are knocking on the door of Dumso again. I feel it would be disastrous to get there. I'll start with you, 2, and please don't do more than 2 minutes.
Well, first, let me say, you said I shouldn't talk about Kendo Furata. The issue of the IPP is still Kendo Furata. It's still Kendo Furata. He's still the headache of the IPPs. Secondly, when you talk about sports, I've said plain and simple, from the president down to the last person in this government, square pegs in round hole. That is why everything is dwindling. That's why everything is nosediving, going down. Everything. I don't want to say it's a case.
Does that include the GFA?
Why not?
Keto Kweku and his team?
It's not just Keto Kweku and his team. The issue is simple. Who are those who are there working together with the GFA to be able to achieve the results we are looking at? Do they have any sense? Do you have any knowledge about the game? No.
Can you say Keto Kweku doesn't have knowledge of
I'm not talking about Keto Kweku per se.
Right.
But he works together with the ministry. The ministry gives the policy directions as to what to be done to achieve results. And so we are not, if we are
so
not.
So the sports minister?
The sports ministry, not the minister.
Okay.
Because he has deputies, he has government, which also confer with him. He gives him direction as to what should be done. The problem is that the MPP government is finding it difficult to be able to hold grasp with any issue at all in this country. Everything they hold goes bad.
Okay. He's exhausted his 2 minutes. Quickly.
Well, I think that for sports, I'm a bit concerned about the performance of the national teams, in recent times.
You also saw the debacle at the World Cup.
Yeah. Especially the young guys that played recently in Morocco.
The Black Meteors.
Their performance, was not something to write home about. And I think that there's a need to invest more in that area. That said, the management of football and the management of the national team has nothing to do with government. Nii Lantey knows the autonomy of the GFA. The GFA, you cannot go in there and direct the GFA as to how to manage football teams and all of that. The management team, everything that has to do with football management at the GFA level, government has no influence.
It's not true.
Well, I know that for sure.
It's not true.
And that is why the sports ministry will not determine or will not be pushing for. Yes, we pay the salaries. But when it comes to the appointment of coaches, the appointment of management team and all of that, it's at the reserve of the GFA.
Okay.
Unless the government hasn't got a goal, unless the government hasn't got objectives to achieve, then they can sit there and say the GFA should do what they want.
All right. Gentlemen, I believe we'll have to cap off.
What? No, let him. He's not responsible for the situation of the IPPs.
Well, he's coughing. He's not so.
Ken must go.
The issue of Dumsor, I don't think Dumsor will be coming back to Hunters.
Let's pray not.
Yeah, I know Napo, and I know his work at the Ministry.
Dubik Mahama is doing a good job, a fine job at ECG, but there still leaves a lot to be done. We owe what, $1.73 billion?
Yes,
that is humongous.
That is half of what we went for
to the IMF for. Anyway, gentlemen, we'll have to sew up the conversation here. I'm very grateful that you took the time.
Thank you.
To join us. David Sanso Opoku, Member of Parliament for Mpraeso, together with Nii Lantey Vanderpuye.
The people of Mpraeso will not know him well.
Oh, okay.
Add OPK.
Oh, OPK. Okay, so that's more. OPK, as he's popularly known. Yeah. David Sanso Opoku, a.k.a. OPK, Member of Parliament for Mpraeso, and then Nii Lantey Vanderpuye. Even your kids call you OPK. Okay. Oh, wow. Nii Lantey Vanderpuye, Member of Parliament, Ododo. We are very grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. Do stay with us. We'll be back after the break with a lot more action on the AM show.
A very good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Much earlier, Benjamin told you about Agromonti and the fact that we'll be telling you what that company stands for. This morning, I have been joined by Dominic Donko, who is an agribusiness consultant and managing partner at Agromonti Limited. Good morning to you.
How are you? Good morning. I'm very fine.
All right, great to see you. And I like the shirt with the Agromonti print in that. Yes. What's Agromonti? What does it mean?
Agromonti, actually, when you hear agro, it's basically agriculture. And Monti is our brand.
Okay.
So Agromonti is basically an indigenous company providing agribusiness solutions to farmers to increase their yield per unit area. And we provide services like inputs and technical support services. By inputs, I mean seed, which is very key in production, fertilizers, which provides nutrition for the crops, then crop protection products, that's diseases, insects, etc., weeds, and then irrigation. So we have a total solution cycle so far as food production is concerned.
Right. And so different companies offer some of these services you've spoken about, but what makes you unique?
Well, what makes us unique is that we provide solutions. We sell solutions. We don't sell products.
Okay.
And we respond to change. You see, in the agri-input space, some products easily phase out, especially the molecules. When I say molecules, the active ingredients that are used in formulating the chemicals. WHO has standards, and the European Union has their own standards. There are some active ingredients that if you use in your production, in fact, they've banned it. So we move with the times. So our active ingredients are the ones that are doing the trick. And secondly, we have tailor-made products, like customized, crop-specific and soil-specific. And we provide technical support services alongside selling the products. So it makes the farmer, who is the end user, very comfortable using the product because all the technical information about the product, the farmer has access to it through our agents on the field.
That's wonderful. So who is your ideal client? Who are you looking to as your target?
Well, today, for instance, every farmer is our target. However, we have specifics now. And today, for instance, I'm going to speak about a very unique product which is targeted at farmers who are doing vegetables and cereals.
Okay.
So we have a unique product which is pre-emergence. And when I say pre-emergence, weed control is a major factor hindering yields of farmers because the weeds compete directly with the crops for nutrients, sunlight, everything. So if you fail to control your weeds, 40% of your crop yield is already lost. And it's very difficult controlling weeds once they are established. It will take you about 6 years to eradicate them. So what is so unique about this pre-emergence is that pre suggests that it means that before the weeds even come out. So after using a total weedicide, which kills all the grasses, the weeds that visibly you can see, then you apply this Sakura, we call it Sakura, and it lies underneath the soil and takes care of the second generation of weeds that will come. So any seed that will try to emerge, or any cutting in the form of sedges, that's the grasses, that will try to emerge, it kills it. So second generation of weeds is controlled. And once that is done, you've taken almost 90% of your weeds away. So continuous practice in terms of every season, for some few years, you realize that you've eradicated all your weeds.
That's very interesting. And for those of you who have tried having backyard gardens, farming is not a joke, right? So when I was much younger, I had a backyard garden.
Okay.
And I tried to start again. And these things that you're talking about, the weeds, they're actually problematic.
Exactly.
And then you may think you've dealt with them, but like you mentioned, the second generation springs up along the line.
Exactly.
And then you have to deal with them again.
Exactly.
And for me, who's not an experienced farmer, I'm like, how do I deal with the weeds? So this is very interesting.
And so you see, even yours is just a backyard garden.
Yeah.
And you are struggling with it. So just look at commercial farmer who has lots of acres controlling weeds. And so we have come with this unique formulation. And the interesting thing too is that the active ingredient is called pendimethalin. Other companies have pendimethalin, but this is a slow release.
Okay.
And it is micro-encapsulated. When I say micro-encapsulated, it means that the formulation is in a microscopic way, micro rather, and it releases slowly. So the residual effect is very strong. So it controls the weeds for a longer period because it becomes active and inactive, active and inactive. Right. So anytime it becomes active and there's any weed that is trying to emerge, it kills it.
So you've just mentioned that this particular product is targeted for vegetable and cereal farmers.
Yeah.
But we are people who plant seasonally. So right now, when you go onto our streets, you see a lot of women hawking nuts because it's in season, it's the season, it's been harvested. After a while, you see them hawking another product.
Yeah.
So do you have season-specific products?
Yes, we have season-specific products. Even One thing is that if it's the same crop, normally we have candidate crops. If it's the same crop, we have either the minor season and the major season, or all year round when you are using irrigation. So it's not season specific.
Okay.
It's all year round if you are using irrigation. And you know now agric is science and technology, about 80% technology, 20% science. So if you are not applying these things, it means that you are behind time because you are going to produce the same old way and your yields per unit area is going to be small and you can't break even. But now it's no more agriculture, it's agribusiness. So it's a business. If you attach all the agronomic practices, you adhere to them holistically, trust me, your backyard garden, you can harvest and even sell some.
Right. I think we should talk about that after the show because I'm interested in growing, something little of my own.
Do that.
But the statement you made about technology being the way reminds me of a story I heard about a US-based company that wanted to come into Ghana, but said they couldn't find any farmer to supply them on the daily the local ingredients they need. And so they couldn't set up here. And I was surprised because I asked myself, why? How is that? I mean, why is it so difficult? But they say, no, we use tons and tons of tomatoes in our product and we need constant supply. There should be no break because our clients will not buy into our excuse. So we cannot come and set up with the hope that something magical will happen. And I like the fact that you mentioned technology being the way forward. So tell us, for Agromonti, how you incorporate technology into what you do and even research, if there's anything like that.
So the secret of our success is that we do a lot of research. Our R&D, we don't joke with it. It involves a lot of money, but we are ready to really change the game because the African Green Revolution has started. And you cannot be part of it if you leave technology behind. So we experiment almost every product that we bring before it even goes to the market. Okay. Secondly, we provide technical support services alongside our products. And with the technical information we are given, people have good products, but because the farmer, who is the end user, does not have product knowledge. So we are bringing in like drip kits, which formerly, if you want to do irrigation, and it's no more than 2 hectares or 1 hectare, then it means you cannot buy an irrigation kit. But we have brought them in smaller quantities, where even in your backyard, you can still irrigate. Because at the end of the day, you need, if you depend on rain-fed agriculture, it's really going to worry a lot of. So we have inculcated into our extension delivery services, telling farmers, first of all, to make sure, even if it is a borehole, they have to dig, and then have some small irrigation kits which will help them really feed their crops with good water when the rains really stop.
Right. How long has Agromonti been in business, and what has been the moment of pride for you, your proudest milestones?
Okay. Agromonti started on a very small note in somewhere, I would say 2012. Very small. And then we moved on from the normal delivery to a shop. And now we have offices scattered across the country. We have outlets. We have warehouses. And we grew the company organically.
I like that.
So it was not like we were just adding to the numbers. But we grew steadily, and now we've gotten to the stage where now we won the best foliar fertilizer for the cocoa Health and Extension Senior Staff Association. The awards, we won the best foliar fertilizer.
Okay.
And that foliar fertilizer is a game changer. They have a lot of foliar fertilizers, but that one is the only one that has solved the major problem facing farmers, that is weight. So apart from getting it more trees per pod, more pods per tree, more beans per pod, and all year round the flowers staying, it gives the pod, the beans good weight.
Great.
So the farmers have named it Accra weight, because Accra weight is the original weight that is that leaves the Temapod to Europe. This year we've won the best agro input company. We are yet to attend the program at Kempinski, organized by Ghana Agric and Processing Awards. And also, there's a problem with mangoes, which kicked a lot of mango farmers out, bacteria black spot, BBS. We are the only company that brought a chemical, Actigard, which has been able to solve the problem. So these are some of just about the few milestones that we've chalked. And we are still hoping that by the end of the year, Agromonti will be a household name, because we have been able to position the brand strategically and also become a household name to the farmers.
That's wonderful. So if there's somebody watching at home who has a backyard farm like I do, because you mentioned the small kit irrigation, I'm sure that will pique a lot of interest. How do we contact Agromonti? Okay. Where can we find you across the country? Okay. In Accra, our head office is at Adenta Housing, an area called Lotto Kiosk. We are just by the roadside. You see white wall with a big inscription, Agromonti. And we have 2 outlets in Medina, one at the Medina Market and one at Medina Zongo Junction. Okay. Then in Sawam, we are at almost getting to the Agweji Bridge. We are in Oti region in Kwanta. We are in Ho, KK building. We are in Kaswa, New Market, second gate when you are coming from Bojuasi, and first gate when you have moved from Kaswa Township. We are at Mankesim, the Accra station, and very soon we'll open our new branch in Tichiman. Okay. And that's the center, so that's a good way to reach the north.
Exactly.
Tichiman, it's is the center.
Exactly. So you can reach us on these numbers: 0243 46 2023. And I repeat it: 0243 46 2023. And the other one is 0244 298 913. 0244 298 913. We are on standby waiting to pick calls and give technical support services to any caller.
I like that, and that is Dominic Domko. He is a partner with Agromonti Limited, and this morning he's been sharing some very fantastic news with us about how the company is focused on making farmers have better yields. He's shared the success story of some of Agromonti's products with us and showed us what their unique selling propositions are and what makes them stand out among the lot. Thank you once again for joining me this morning. And well, that is it. If you are involved in farming, or you are someone who has a farm, is interested in farming, or if people want to come and sell and
yes, we have distributors.
Okay, so someone can
come, and even we have raised distributors in communities where the distributors are failing to go. We've been able to raise farmers who have become distributors in their communities.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for what you do. And I appreciate it, because every morning you have a meal on your table. You don't want to take people like Dominic for granted, because they are, or Agromonti, through Agromonti, they are the businesses that allow our farmers to thrive and provide food for our table. So you want to appreciate the work they do. If you're interested, you can give them a call. The numbers are on your screen. But that'll be it for our conversation. We'll be back with more Tuesday.
The Wahen to Mu Road project for over 30 years has been on the budget of every government that has ruled this country. All governments in the Fourth Republic have cut short for at least a portion of the road to be constructed. The irony, however, is that none has been able to complete the 142 kilometers road. Joseph Canton started using the road at a tender age some 70 years ago, attended Laura Middle Boarding.
I attended Laura Middle Boarding. That was from 1961 to 65. And I used the road a lot. If anybody told me that as of today, this road is going to be in this deplorable state, I will say it's a mirage. Because Kasajan was one of the best person, one of the first contractors who went on this road. And what happened? You know, since then, they have been scraping the road. And I think that thing even contributed to the nature, the way this road is now.
This was the very road that my father used some 60 years ago to go and dowry my mother at Wallambele. 60 years on, the road is even in a much deplorable state. The question that the people are asking, when will this road project be completed?
Construction of the road project began 2 decades ago at the one end of the road by Usua Ghana Limited and later awarded on piecemeal to Lebanese-based Ghanaian contractor P&W Ghanem Limited. At least the latter has graded, re-gravelled, fixed broken culverts and tarred over 50 kilometers of the road with bitumen. 76 kilometers of the road project is now left to be fixed and is now an albatross hanging on the neck of the government. It is bumpy, deplorable, and replete with corrugation. The west part of the road is located between Hen and Ndowala and is filled with numerous manholes and gullies.
You can see that the videos are shaky. That clearly means that the road is just not good. We are moving from one pothole to the other, meandering through some of them, the ones that we could dodge. And that's exactly what is happening. And that's why the videos are really shaking. We're uncomfortable, even sitting at the back of the pickup. You can see that the vehicles are coming and they are now avoiding the road and they are now using the shoulders of the road to come into the main road because the road is such in a deplorable state. And so even vehicles as Land Cruisers, Prados and whatever cannot even ply that route. How much do you talk about rickety vehicles? I can count as many as 13 gullies right here on this road. So let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on this stretch of the road, which is about 20 meters right here on this road. Passengers and also drivers are not having it easy to ply the route, and they are appealing to the government to come to the aid of the people.
Myself, you have to go and change your absorber very often because the road, the nature of the road is very difficult. Well, I'm using a pickup, but it is still very tough on the car. So we are appealing to the government that whatsoever they have to do to make sure that these roads are done, because this area, Sisala East and West, is a good hub for cereals, soya, maize, and millet. And we have to transport the item to the city centers to help cushion prices. And because of that, prices are escalating.
You see how, the colonial government was looking at this. And usually, they used to, the postcards used to be on this road. And they will make sure that the mills will get back to all the places. Why is it that today, even if our postal system is even failing, but at least this road should have been in a better order than now.
Community members jubilated in silence when road minister Kwesi Amankwata got stranded on the road when his Land Cruiser had a flat tire. They thought that was a turning point.
I'm told you had a puncture in JFC, yeah. That is Honorable's car, V8. Okay, so let's relate that to the plight of our people. We've been in this mess for the past 3 or 4 decades.
Unknown to them, it was a message to brace themselves for the worst when the heavy rain sets in. The people of Ndowala, since 2017, have craved, yearned and prayed for the government to construct one of the dams for the One Village, One Dam project in their community.
Government wouldn't listen to their plea. However, by providence, they have gotten one in here, located on their road.
You drive, the road is so bad. You don't even know whether it's pond or a swimming pool or whether it's a dam. It is really, really terrible.
Wisdom, though, is into share nut business and depends on the road to keep his business afloat. He said the recent rains has exposed the inactivity of the contractors on site.
It was quite better. We were able to plow quite faster. It's a short distance, but now that the rains have set in, it is so difficult. It is so difficult. We have to spend over an hour on a less than 40-kilometer road.
The government said that they have put 5 contractors there. Have you seen any sign that the work is going on?
No, for this particular stretch, there is nothing showing that there's a contractor on site. The only thing I can say that from Tumu to before Jeffrey, there's a contractor around that place. But after Jeffrey, all the way to Han, there is nothing happening.
Wisdom now spent my time at the mechanic. The meeting his client as a result of the equipment breakdown of his pickup. I spotted a handful of trucks and buses parked at the middle and some on the shoulders of the road. Speaking off camera, the drivers told me they have been stranded here for the past few days after they ran into some of the gullies on the road, breaking their axles. The Hen-Tumu Road project, otherwise known as N18, according to the Upper Regional Minister, has been awarded to 5 contractors with a completion date set before the 2024 general election.
The contract was awarded to a Chinese company, Greenhouse Construction Limited. But because we wanted the project to be completed ahead of the 2024 general election, we terminated that contract and awarded it to 5 different contractors. The idea is for those contractors to speed up with the work so that we get the road completed before the 2024 elections.
It is the hope of the people that the promise of Dr. Bin Sali is not one for the Marines.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Nandowala.
Hello there. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Benjamin is back. And when you see us together, you know what time it is.
Yeah, we're getting interactive with you. A number of issues we've had to discuss this morning on the news review, among others. And we're back discussing some of them. So the members of Parliament, Bernice, came into the studio today, as you well know, and they had thoughts to share on everything from James Jachikwesin to the Domahene's comments to the state of our economy to Kenoforiata remaining at post. So many matters. We had even sports. You know, Nii Lantey Vanderpuye himself, a former sports minister. So we had all of those on the chopping board. We noticed a lot of you were responding also to the 1D1F conversation and sharing your thoughts of them. You can share with us what you'd like to say on 0302-211-691. But Bernice, there have been other topical matters that in the course of this week and the one before we've been discussing. Which ones, you know, still have that presence of mind for you?
So James Jachikwesin is quite topical. I mean, obviously because of the Domahene's comment, it elevates the conversation or keeps it.
Himself a judge.
Yes. So, I mean, it's one that we all anticipated because once he won, the bigger question was, what's next, right? Yeah. And so for me, that's what's topical. But also, Benjamin, another thing I'd like to say is that even though this may not be topical at the national level, for us here at Joy News, it's a project for us. And we just saw Rafiq Salam tell the story of bad roads.
And our potholes exhibition.
potholes exhibition. And for me, the important thing is how it links to the increase in the price of goods.
Yeah.
So you're wondering, oh, I mean, okay, so there's bumper harvest, right? But why am I still paying more? Some of these
are some of the reasons.
Exactly. And I think that as a people, we should begin to, we deserve better. I think that's a summary of it for me, Benjamin. Because honestly, I look at Ghana, I look at where we are, I look back to when I was in primary school and all the good talk about Ghana being the beacon of democracy, being the gateway to Africa.
The Black Star of Africa.
Exactly. And then I know that we still try to excite ourselves about being, the beacon of democracy. But the other question of whether we are the gateway to Africa lingers, considering what we have put our economy into currently, considering the path that we are on. That's my fear. In the next 5-10 years, will we still hit our chest and say we are this, we are that? Are we sustaining this? Well, we have Idrisu on the line. Hello, Idrisu. Let's hear your thoughts.
Hello. Good morning, and thank you to your viewers. I think with regards to the 1D, 1F, I hardly talk about politics, but I would say 90% of this current administration, their policies are not thought through. Look, it's just unfortunate. Look at where we are as Ghanaians. Look at the number of youth that leave our public universities, not talking of the private ones, every year. And you just go and bring a program, lip service. Now that they've go. Look, you see, it's time the youth of this country rise up and say enough is enough. And I don't know why, if youth groups are teaming up to stand up for a cause, they hardly get support. They don't get support to push their way through. So it's a problem. We established an organization called Civic Ghana Alliance just to move to the rural communities and have an engagement and we are finding difficulties in getting collaborators and supporters.
Thank you. Sorry, Idrisu, we have to pick other callers. We really appreciate your contribution to the show. So, Benjamin, this 1D1 thing.
We don't even want to go there. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. But
thank you,
Idris. We're grateful for you, and that is one of the things. The member of parliament from Prayaso, Davis Opoku, came on the show. I mean, he's level-headed. He's one of those members of parliament from the majority side that you would often see saying things as they are. But one thing I dispute is his comparison with 1D, 1F and Nkrumah. And people immediately went hard on him on the live stream. You can go and check the messages. Let's not even try that, because we saw, and like I was saying, Bernice. If you're telling me of these things, let's say you're producing tomatoes, you're producing X, you're producing Y. Let me know, for example, how that is contributing to reducing our import burden and all of that. These things don't operate in a vacuum.
You're right.
And all of a sudden, we've put up a factory here. What is the result?
Yeah.
Many of these factories are not even functioning.
And even if they are, some of those which are receiving stiff competition from Chinese companies, when we know that the policy made arrangements for some exclusivity for these Ghanaian-owned and run 1D, 1Fs. Well, Abendao is on the line. Hello, Abendao. Let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Benny and Nakapo.
Good morning.
Yeah, my request that, or the question that I would have put before the agro-month was that now it is time for the application of fertilizer on agricultural plants, particularly in the north. So without fertilizer, in fact,
too bad we lost Abendao. I was just trying to get
thrust of what he was saying.
Yeah, what he was saying, and the point was not made clear. But Benjamin, you know, there's so much hope in Ghana, you know. There's so much being done, especially by the private sector. And I engaged one gentleman who runs a privately owned real estate company, and these were his words. According to him, they don't even need government support. All they need is government should get out of the way. Think about that. He says, look, you're not doing it, we're doing it. We're not asking for your support, just get out of the way.
And let's do it.
And let's do it.
Actually, with a capitalist economy, which is what we're trying to practice, that is what you do. You provide the enabling environment and allow private business to go ahead. You just have to regulate and streamline the system. But of course, I can understand why he says get out of the way. You should understand too.
Abdallah, hello Abdallah, let's hear you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Abdallah.
Yeah, I'm calling from Tamale.
You're calling from Tamale. Good. How's Tamale this morning?
Yeah, it's fine.
Great. Let's hear you, please.
Okay. Yeah. I'm having a suggestion. The way Ghana we are moving to a peak. So it's high time we Ghanaians think. And then let's say it's time to leave this country to a foreign country like America, or if possible, like the IMF institution, because we go to IMF with a program, they will do everything, we think that we are done. When we come out from the program, in 2 years, we go back. So what is the essence? Isn't it better that we just leave it to the IMF so that they will be in charge of our resources and take our welfare? Very important. Look, students are suffering very much here. Workers are suffering, like Baumia Way. This is the real time that we are feeling it. We are feeling it. I'm not doing politics, but the big men at the up there to come down and see how Ghanaians are suffering. Things are not easy. Let us be serious.
Right.
How can we be in North here? In North here, a very good landmark. And then Burkina Faso will be giving us tomatoes. Whilst we have Botanga irrigation dam, we have Gwalanga irrigation dam. So many irrigation dams.
Right.
And we can get sponsorship to do irrigation farming. Look at poultry. In northern region here, all those who were in fossil business have collapsed. They
Abdallah,
run away from business.
thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We would have to pick other callers, but we get the gist of what you're saying. So
my only point of disagreement
is the
suggesting, well, the IMF is not an end in itself. They will not resolve your problems. And the whole bit about having interest at heart, it's not necessarily there. These Bretton Woods institutions, they will help in the way they can because we are members, but your interest at heart, I don't know about the full dynamics of that.
Yeah.
But the end game, you know, he's suggesting basically, let's say the US come and take over. That kind of thinking, we've gone way past that.
But then again, Benjamin, the big question of why we have not been able to manage our own affairs.
Yeah,
and I
is
keep
the reality.
hearing Dr. Nkrumah's voice.
The black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
And I feel that
we are not capable of managing Chile, at least as it is now.
We have disappointed the early generation of black leaders, not even only locally, but across the world, who believe that we can and we should break out of the shackles that colonialism had held us, you know, on and begin to free ourselves and free our thinking. I think it all starts from the mind, honestly.
Like Robert Nesta Marley would say, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery.
You understand?
We're still being colonized.
Why? So you see, so when you say, for example, that the US should take over Ghana or the IMF, it's a form of colonialism mindset.
Which Nkrumah spoke of.
Yes, but then again, you cannot fault people like Abdallah when our leaders over the years have failed us. They need to help us believe that we can.
That is true.
You understand? Because where's
None
the
but ourselves can free our minds. Our leaders have just been. They've simply not. I agree with you. They've not lived up to expectation. You may have some shining lights every now and then, but it's not consistent. And because of that lack of consistency, we are where we are. I'll always go back to the Singaporean example. We can fault Lee Kuan Yew, we can talk whatever we do, just as we are saying about Rwanda. Go to Rwanda and see. Genocide, 1994, country a mess. Go there and see, and come to your own country, Ghana, and come and do the comparative.
Yeah. And then again, Benjamin, it brings a conversation also about whether we should begin to localize our democracy, contextualize democracy. So there are those who have suggested that maybe we should look at what our system we run in Ghana again and ask ourselves, is 4 years reasonable?
The 4-year time span. For African leaders, though, I am very cautious when we talk about. There are jurisdictions. I think even in Sierra Leone, I was speaking to the Information and Communication Minister. They have a 5-year term. I'm very careful because there are too many despots, too many people who think they are the repositories of all knowledge in Africa. If you're not careful you'll be saddled with. Look at what we are facing now. Imagine being saddled with an administration like this, with what is happening now, for about 8 years. And if it continues like this.
That's a legitimate.
So that is the problem. That's the other side of the coin.
Well, that would be a conversation for, I'm just imagining you moderating a panel.
Firing on all cylinders.
Of politicians, of professors, of social commentators, all discussing where our democracy should be and what the best model will be for us as a people.
Yeah.
We have Isaac on the line. Hello, Isaac.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling Wa.
Oh, how's from Wa, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Let's hear what you have to share with us.
Okay. My concern is the kind of leadership that we have and mindset. And the contractors that they give them the note. I tell you, the shoddy work that they are doing here, that's the whole problem. When you pick the road from Tuala to Wa, if you yourself, I don't know how you even drive on that road. The potholes, I don't know, you can count out as many as you can.
Hello, Isaac? Hello, Isaac? Oh, his line dropped, unfortunately, but he was making a point about roads. If I heard him right, so and
on the back of the potholes exhibition.
Yes, Benjamin, remember we had a contractor calling on one
some time back, yes, and talking about the kickbacks. I remember,
and told us why we shouldn't be blaming the contractors entirely,
because 10% will go.
It's just a corrupted system. Benjamin, look.
But I've also heard others say that, Engineer Mahama had his turn to speak on those. He says, no, it's not exact. There are other ways of going around this, and you cannot necessarily say that because of that. There are different things that happen in there.
Well, Rahim is our last caller. Hello, Rahim. Good morning to you. What are your thoughts?
Good morning. How are you doing?
We are doing well. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well too.
Rahim, please go ahead.
I think what you people are discussing now is very important. Yeah, I'm going ahead. But we should also bear in mind that no leader in the world will come and solve our problems to us. All of us are leaders in our various homes.
Absolutely.
So we shouldn't be thinking that if you yourself did not manage your home well, don't think of somebody to manage it for you. That one day is clear. No leader in the world will do that. Every country has a problem.
even America, they also have its problems. Yeah, surely we shouldn't be blaming our leaders for almost everything. Like what you have shown, the potholes that you've been showing for a couple of days now. Yeah, it's true. But those things cannot be solved at once. Look at things for Kuruma. Up till now, we can solve it. Even the West Eastern will never solve its problem. So we all pass. We can only try and do the little that we are able to do and go. So sometimes we seek to blame our leaders, forgetting that we ourselves are the problem.
I have a brief comment for you, though. There's a reason we have governments, for example, like an airport or infrastructure like roads. I beg to differ. Individuals don't do that. It is governments that do that. That is why we bring them to power. And just to make the point, the stretch you saw Rafiq Salam on for about 6 decades. Okay,
yes, we voted government
we've had
problem, but we do not vote government.
How does that make any sense?
Right, Raheem, thank you so much. I think because Raheem is listening on his television, there's a bit of a delay,
there's a bit of a delay. But I just had to come in, and some of what he's saying doesn't hold water. You can't have the stretch that Rafiq Salam showed for 4 decades plus. Every government in this Fourth Republic has cut a sort for that stretch of road. How does that make any sense?
Talking about cutting swords, this one on the front page of the Finder. Nkrumah Park now world-class standard. President Akufo-Addo to commission it today. I'm wondering if that is necessary at all. But that'll be it for our show. Raheem was our last caller. We appreciate
Birthday.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Aisha nearly skinned me alive yesterday, so I'm going to do a belated one. You understand?
Please.
I'm sure she's standing by if I don't do it today. But happy birthday to Kwesi Asare Bafo. It's your first birthday.
Aww.
And so that is belated birthday because that was your birthday yesterday. We pray for God's amazing grace and favor upon your life. It's from your dad, Kweku Asare Bafo.
Happy birthday, little one. Wish you lots of God's blessings.
1 year.
If today's your birthday. We wish you a lot of strength, a lot of good health.
You will need it in this
money.
economy. You will need it.
And a lot of money. Well, that'll be it. Benjamin and I are grateful that you make time to join us every morning. God willing, tomorrow we'll be back with another edition. Until then, stay safe, drive safe. And we hand over to Aisha Ibrahim for News Desk. Do stay.